Tim, what's not right would have been you sitting on a couch on Christmas Day beside your father, cheering against him, not wanting him to have joy. That's what's not right. That's what's not right.
Look, I'll take lectures on how I should relate to my family and football from a good number of people, but not from someone who won't take his own nephew to see his favorite and second favorite teams play in the same city. So, try another tactic here, Jeffrey.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 17 picks against the spread. SUPERLOCKS, no longer Omaha Steaks premium picks. Back to SUPERLOCKS for right now. We'll see what Omaha Steaks does in the future. I have no idea if Code Mayo still works over there. We could always give it a try if you need some meats in the New Year's. Maybe we'll get you that $30 off. Who knows? Additionally, we will have a mini version of Cust Corner and a whole lot more. Smash the like to the episode. Sub to Mayo Media Network and sub to the audio podcast as well. I do want to let you know the Listeners Leagues are now live. Yes, leagues. Sunday for football, week 17. Easy stuff. Tournament of Champions golf also open now down in the description. But the big thing is the fantasygolfchampionships.com. Race for the Mayo Cup, one and done. $200 to play this year. 4,444 spots in it. $80,000 for first prize. All you got to do is sign up. You can have up to 5 entries if you really want to spend the $1,000, which I probably will. But you pick one golfer per week, per tournament. Once you use said golfer, you cannot use that golfer again for the rest of the year. It runs from January through August through the final tournament, and boom, that their money equals your money, and that's how you do it. It's the easiest way to get into golf ever. The link is down in the description right now. And if any of you good people out there want to get a free entry into the race for the Mayo Cup at fantasygolfchampionships.com, what you need to do is tweet me a photo of your entry already existing, and maybe I can get you another one. There we go. I mean, I have one to give away, and that's how I'm going to give one away. So you have to show me that you're already in, and boom, maybe you'll get a second free opportunity to continue along with it. So tweet me that at the PME. Geoff, you ready for one and done season?
I'm the worst at one and done, Pat. Like, I've never figured it out. I'll win my quota of winners and hopefully beyond. But I don't know. I'm the worst at it because I never take my own advice. I'll spend all winter saying, just play the guys. And then I'll play the top guys. You won't run out of guys. And then I play losers from go, like bad players trying to be fancy. So no, I'm not ready. Answer your question.
You could get yourself ready right now because obviously you're via phone. You are not at home. So that means you're in a place where you can legally register for said contest. So you should do it right now because you can make your picks from anywhere. But in order to register, you need to be in a legal state to do that. And since you're in Taxifornia, you can do that.
Oh my God, I didn't even. Oh yeah,
of course you did.
I wish like DraftKings had Millie Maker entries I could enter right now for the Masters. I would do that too. Great point, Taxifornia. I love it. You know what they really tax on out here, Pat? The weed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. Like a tax bill. Crazy.
I did not know that. So it's worse than where you live.
Yeah, well, I don't really deal with that stuff where I live.
You still got your guy from like 20 years ago?
Not from 20 years ago, but yeah, someone will come to my door and take care of me at home. But funny story, quick story. I met a fan out here and who's a Dolphins fan and so badly wanted to come up and, make fun of me for things I said many years ago. But he even acknowledged like he can't do that because I fairly quickly sort of tried to renege on the Tua stuff. Although, there are still debatable points. My guy sucks. Don't worry. That being said, it happened in front of my dad, which is great because later when the drug dealer pulled up, my mom was watching and I made it like that was the same fan that dad saw me with earlier. Not that I'm like 40 years old and worried about his parents seeing him buy drugs, but my dad's like old school. Like he would have no part of that. No part of that.
Well, it's great to see that you're having a terrific vacation, Geoff, over the holiday season. I hope all of you out there had a wonderful Christmas and an even merrier New Year on the way. The coin is here, Paul is here, and on the line, as he is every single week, it is Tim Undercust.
Tim Andergust.
That is not my name. How much in taxes did you pay, Geoff, on the tickets to the Holiday Bowl that you're going to tomorrow night?
You know what? I don't even think we're going.
What? No. The only justification you had for not taking your Bills
No,
and
I
Chargers
said I would
nephew
make good.
fans was that you take them to the Holiday Bowl, and that's what we sold it to Cam in. That's how we gave it to Cam too. So now you're saying this is a bait and switch?
No, it's not so much a bait and switch. It's like he's really not interested. Apparently, he went to a college football game in like Florida last Christmas, and he didn't care for it. And I bought him a Justin Jefferson jersey. He got to pick any jersey he wanted at the store. I bought him some cards. So we're good. We are good. Don't you and these people try to turn this into something that it isn't. You know, it isn't. Anyone that knows me, even my folks wouldn't give me a hard time about it. They wouldn't give me a hard time about it. The person who's probably the most pissed about it is my sister. But fact of the matter is, I didn't want to like tell this to my nephew and breaking down why we weren't going. I kind of used the injured players and all the reasons, but like, I love the Chargers more than my sister. Like I care about the Chargers more than my sister. So I don't care that she's upset, but I have at some point in my life, because of my love of the Chargers, Tim, I've disappointed everybody in my life at some point. Even ex-girlfriends, parents, you name it. I have disappointed everybody in my life. And the one moment that I just want to be like, you know what? This team's knocked me around too much. They're on the canvas. I'm on the canvas. I'm not getting up. I'm going to care a little less this holiday season. I disappoint people too. So when I make them my life's mission, I disappoint people. And when I try to forget about them, I disappoint people. I got no win. I can't win. But as for that 11, I don't know if he's 10 or 11. I've made good there. Do not have a concern. And also,
when does voting open up?
Well, I wanted to say that Rob actually,
because that just won me hundreds of votes.
See,
right there.
You have a very poor sense of why people vote for you and why people don't vote for Geoff.
No, see, it's the exact opposite. I understand that people are looking for an off ramp.
Yeah,
and Geoff just gave them a big off ramp.
That's nothing compared to what you say on a weekly basis.
No, but again, that's already priced in.
Paul,
people are looking for an off ramp.
I'm going to come to Geoff's defense a little bit. So the kid's first favorite team is the Chargers. His second favorite team is the Bills. And then Geoff gave him the opportunity to get a jersey, and the kid gets a Justin Jefferson jersey. Sounds like a casual to me.
He's 10 years old. He just likes good players that he uses in like video games or like his friends say are good. He has... Like when he went to summer camp last year, I got him he already has a Herbert jersey, but I bought him like an Allen jersey t-shirt, a Burrow jersey t-shirt. I don't need him to be a Charger. I was like, you choose your own adventure. Like you're going to overnight camp. Like I don't need your counselors making fun of you because you like the Chargers. Here's a Burrow shirt. Here's an Allen shirt. His mom can buy him Patrick Mahomes stuff. I'm not against him wearing Chiefs gear. I've always said I'm not the one who's going to buy it. Like Matt Mahomes, best player on earth. Like I'm not going to stop him from liking him and thinking he's the man because he is, but I'm just not purchasing it. That's where I stand on that. But I've tried to spread about.
Would you buy him a t-shirt with Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes on it though?
I trust me. I'm going to one of those like really crusty malls in at home, like that have those like make your own shirt shops. I'll send them the JPEG or whatever, and that's going on a shirt. If you are down on your luck, if you're down on your luck in the Las Vegas region and you want to make a quick buck, you make some shirts with that picture that CBS sent us off the air with on Monday. and you sell them outside that stadium. You'll be cash rich. You'll be flowing. Like, there's my business tip, but I'll make my own. Bespoke. What do we call that? Custom. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing. But yeah, don't that. And I'm not the kid's father, and he's 2 hours from Buffalo. I'm 2 hours from SoFi, man. Like, he lives just as close to Buffalo as he does as I would need to drive to SoFi. But here's the kicker in all of it. It's kind of really embarrassing. I couldn't even rent a car because my license expired on my birthday. And I didn't even know that.
Oh, Jeffrey.
We weren't even going to SoFi. Period. Well, no, if we were, I would have taken... There had been ways I would have gotten there if I cared. If I cared, I would have crawled on glass. I would have crawled on. I would have crawled on glass and put my nephew on my back if the game mattered. But don't worry, I got a lot of support from people out there. Like, you think a Patriot fan's going to the football game these days? A few of them hit me up. Like, no, doesn't matter if you've won 6 titles. Like, when there's nothing to play for and your backup's in, like, you're not going to the goddamn stadium. Now, does it like kill me inside that's where they are? And I don't even want to. I'm not even prepared. I could probably win the award if I did want to deep dive how I feel about some things, but I don't know that I'm like I'm in too good of a place on vacation right now to sort of go down these roads.
Give me one of those roads.
But as for people trying to hold this not going to a meaningless game against me, I don't care. I don't care how people think about how I fan. Like, I will not. I will not stand for that for a moment. I will not even allow anyone to question me on that, to be perfectly honest.
Well, one thing that can be questioned is our knowledge of how to bet on football, because I thought that I had a bad week last week. But I won the week against you guys because we all sucked. It was the worst week we had all season. 7-9 was a winner for me, leaving me 10 games above 500 at 124 and 114. Geoff, who previously was in first place, is now 2 games back after going 4-12. Cust was 6-10, and the coin was 5-11. So I have a 1-game lead over the coin, 2 over Geoff, and Tim remains 10 games under, or is now 10 games under 500 with 2 weeks to go. Still has a chance to get this back. Needs a real hot week. Needs to flip the Geoff week, and all of a sudden he's within striking range of this. We all lost our super locks, so I remain 2 games up on Tim at 9-7 for the overall title with 2 weeks to go. And Cust, you had won your teaser until you teased through 0 and the 49ers lost.
I deserved that.
Also,
I was completely wrong on that game. I didn't realize just how bad Brock Purdy was going to play when the first time he had a little bit of pressure on him. Didn't think he would fold like a cheap chair.
So he's done. So just don't even play him anymore. Is that what you're saying?
No, but like, you spent a week talking about how he's the MVP. For the first time, you get to be, NFL MVP. There was all this pressure. This case is the last Monday Night Football game of the year. There's lots of attention, and he just played as poorly as you could imagine. I didn't anticipate that was going to happen. I was wrong.
Was it worse than Tua in the game you said was the worst game of the year?
No.
Really?
It wasn't.
You think that
Brock Purdy was really bad?
You think that Brock Purdy played better?
No, it was worse
in that game on Monday night than Tua did like 3 weeks ago?
I stand by what I said. Yes.
No, you're wrong though. Like, even statistically,
you said I was wrong at the time, so like you haven't changed your opinion either.
Well, I'm adding a game. There's more context because there's worse performances.
Okay, sure. I mean, look, the important part is that Purdy played very poorly, and Lamar more or less got himself in the driver's seat for the MVP. And because Week 18 won't matter if they win next week, he won't play. All they have to do is play well next week, and Lamar's got the MVP sewn up.
Which should hold on. Which should lead you to believe that the Ravens are going to lose by like 40 points this week, because this has happened to everyone the moment they've taken over the favorite as MVP. They've absolutely shit all over themselves.
It is true, but we are out of time. We're out of runway here, right? If he plays well, that's it. It is over.
Yeah, probably. But here's the thing: you used to be Lamar Jackson's biggest fan.
Still am. Was
Yeah,
earlier
but
this
you-
year.
But you like cooled on it hard, and I remember there were
I
moments
don't
where
think I
I
was
pressed
going on it
more.
hard. Hold on. That's a little bit revisionist. I have still been the hottest light burning for Lamar on this podcast.
You had him the lowest in our annual quarterback rankings.
Yeah, maybe that's
still
where we had it out.
I think I still had him 8th or 9th. And this whole year, I have been beating the drum on the live show and on this show about keeping him alive in the MVP race. So I don't, I don't take a lecture from anybody on that.
He was my default MVP on our preseason show. Like when I'm not allowed to pick, when I like say like I'm not going to pick someone named Justin Herbert because I'm an idiot. I would pick if I had a brain. This would be my pick. So that is fun. But yeah, Pat, I had a horrible week, and just as the Island games were so kind to me a week ago, they on that stat sheet they were pretty bad. But I have a take that I'm in like a group chat with a lot of like professional bettors.
Okay, when you paused there, I didn't know exactly what you were going to say, but okay, bettors.
No, neither did I. I didn't know where that was going.
No, I didn't really know how to like phrase it. Like I'm clearly the dumbest in the chat. Like all these guys run models. I'm not running NFL models.
I mean, if
like,
Pizzolla's in the chat, do you know that his models don't even include themes?
Okay, well, this is where they all kind of, before the Sunday nighter, like maybe earlier in the week, there was a lot of going back and forth on that Patriots-Broncos game and then the Monday slate. And I went on a rant about how when the NFL, because it doesn't traditionally play on Christmas, that this is a whole new world. And I felt like the home teams were going to be screwed because those road teams see the schedule in like May, and them and their families know that Christmas is going to be different. Everyone sort of prepares. They've mentally prepared for 8 months for some sort of different thing about Christmas. You're at home on Christmas. You're trying to have your cake and eat it too. I see what my friends, I love Christmas. I adore it. I don't even celebrate it. I celebrate it with people who celebrate it, but I don't personally. And I see what goes into it and what they put into it. And I don't care if you make $8, $10, $20 million a year. Christmas is Christmas. And your wife and your family might think they're doing all they can to take burdens off of you so you only have a football game to think about. But no. Life does not work like that. You burden your own mind because it's Christmas. And they all got smoked and none of them covered. And I'm sure the NFL is going to find a way to take over Christmas. But the Grinch theory is the theory.
You could also rework it that the Vikings shouldn't play Nick Mullins. They should have picked up Sage Rosenfeld, and then they would have been good.
Yeah, you could.
Or Jay Fielder.
That game killed me. I rode with the smart people on that game.
I mean, they had a chance to win the game at the very end. They were down by 6, and Mullins threw 4 picks. Like it was a coin flip to the very end in terms of the spread.
It's almost as if he's not any good.
Yeah, he's basically Jameis from that year. He threw 30 touchdowns and 30 picks. I think he's averaging like 400 passing yards a game.
I don't like to cheer for any team in the NFC's demise because I don't despise any of them enough. But Minnesota's crashing over the last few weeks. I'm not going to lie. It's been a bright spot in an otherwise relatively dark season.
Okay. I just want to go back to Purdy for a second. It's because I remember this from like Brady's first year. And when you have these guys that are playing who everyone assumes is over their skis, and maybe it's just because of the not even hot take, like the instant take culture and like internet where we're at now versus 20 years ago. But like guys who used to be able to like have bad games, like even Roethlisberger in his first year, like when he legit didn't do anything besides like, don't turn the ball over, Ben, we'll try to win these games. And they did. And then if, the first time he actually had to make some throws, he couldn't do it. That like, it just seems like the narrative has now just shifted from like, oh, Purdy's doing it. Will the wheels fall off? And the wheels fall off once. It's like, oh my God, he's never coming back again. It seems really outrageous.
Hold on, though. That's not quite what people are doing.
What are they doing?
What they're saying is that he's not the MVP. And the wheels on the MVP bus have fallen off. That's not the same thing. I don't think anybody is out there saying, That proves that Brock Purdy is an awful quarterback.
You need to watch the hot take shows. Sam Darnold should be starting for the 49ers, Tim.
Those people only exist to put hot takes out into the ether, and so I don't even take that position all that seriously. No, the argument being made was he really shouldn't be MVP, blah blah blah, but he's doing it, and then he fell apart in the biggest spot, and we're like, okay, so he's not. So that's really what it's about. He's allowed to have a bad game. He's still a good quarterback. They're going to bounce back. The 49ers are perfectly fine. He had a bad game, but it really did crystallize the fact he's not the league's most valuable player. So I think there's a bit of a distinction here.
Did I send it to you, Geoff, that we made r/the Darnold on Reddit?
I did not see that, but I love it.
Yeah, we're up there. We're the only podcast featured up there. Us. It's exciting times.
I sort of agree with Tim, although you can't deny those hot takes are there. And it's almost just been the betting aspect of it, at least the orbit of Twitter I'm in. Like the MVP betting discourse has been it's been a hot topic of conversation. But I do believe any sane person, the discourse is just about MVP.
Yeah.
So I do have a theory on how the MVP is going to shake out. I have to look at the odds on this. Maybe I should bet it right now. I should have bet it when I mentioned it 7 weeks ago. But here we are. Lamar is the favorite. He's minus 160 right now. McCaffrey's actually second. And Tua is third at 10-1. Tua lights up the Ravens this week. And Lamar has a terrible game. Now all of a sudden Tua is going to be the MVP favorite, which would happen if Tua throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and Lamar has a bad game. That they would just kind of flip because that's how reactive this market is. However, then in the final game of the year, the Bills will beat the Dolphins and then Josh Allen will be MVP somehow.
Okay. Yeah, I read that board differently. I read that board to say Lamar's going to win this thing unless he plays terribly, and then we're going to give it to McCaffrey because we're done with quarterbacks at that point. Everybody will have had their turn at the top, and if Lamar also drops the ball, then we're not going back to QB. We're just going to give it to McCaffrey. That's how I read that.
I disagree. I think Allen is live in the scenario that Pat lays out. I would argue that the Tua vote would probably get split because there would be a lot of people who probably vote for Tyreek Hill.
I don't know if they would.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I've made the case that his off-field past might make that hard for people to vote for him, but Ray Lewis murdered people, and it is football. It's incredible. He's incredible. You can throw him the ball 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he's got 2 guys literally tripping over themselves, and he gets 9. He's incredible. He's the best. I think he's probably more worthy than Tua, to be honest.
I don't see him on the board right now, but based on the way that Tim has laid out the season, Aaron Rodgers should really be the MVP because they were going to be both undefeated and winning the Super Bowl with him, and they're not nearly as good without him. So really, he's the MVP.
I don't think they would be. No, I never buy that stuff. It's the same reason why I thought that they should not have given it to Hurts last year. When you miss enough games, you just disqualify yourself.
Didn't he miss 2
from
games?
From the MVP. Missed 3, I think. Well, that's 3 out of 16 games or 17 games is a decent proportion of games. It's too many.
Yeah, their team went to shit the moment he went out too.
They did. I'm more interested in offensive rookie of the year, which has tightened outrageously. Stroud is still a reasonably heavy favorite, but he's nowhere near the minus 10,000 that he used to be.
He's minus 1,600 because Puka's come on.
Puka is coming on. I wonder if Stroud doesn't play anymore, whether Puka could steal this at the end.
If Stroud doesn't play again, maybe. I think you'd be onto something. I think that Stroud's going to be back this week, though.
Okay.
So that'd be tough. Although Puka looks like he's going to break the rookie yardage and rookie receptions. He might break it this week. So
that's it. And once he starts doing that, people start talking about those numbers. I wonder if he doesn't just come in at the end. We'll see.
Yeah,
particularly if the Texans they finish poorly, and despite them having a way overachieving season, people are going to be left with a disappointing taste in their mouths, or they sort of fell apart down the stretch. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I can most definitely see that. And it would be a way to award a Ram in a way that there's no other Rams that you're going to award based on their second half of the season.
That's right. Although Geoff would give the coach of the year to anybody who wasn't Dan Campbell, so he'd give it to Sean McVay.
No, I didn't say that at all. I've even seen some books.
It's a coin
with
flip now
Stefanski.
between Campbell
Yeah,
and
I know.
Stefanski.
It is. Well, I mean, it should be renamed the Not Dan Campbell Award if it were up to Jeff.
No,
Well,
Dan Campbell is an incredible coach, and I understand why a lot of people want to give it to him because it makes a lot of sense. And beyond the fact that he's an excellent coach, there's a lot of narrative to it. The fact that so many people who do vote probably made fun of the hiring on the internet or wrote articles making fun of the hiring, that they want to do a make good. That's part of it. The fact that it's the Lions, the fact that the reason I believe he's most worthy, obviously it's the wins and the team, is that he is kind of proving, while everyone is trying to find, next level whiz kid coaches, he seems to be, he is that blend of guy who seems to get it with the analytics and the aggressiveness, but he also brings that raw, old school football guy. And hey, it's a fine line between that working and that making it like the dumbest thing ever. And we're seeing for the Raiders that maybe it works, and it seems like they're going to hire Pierce to try to get the exact magic that they have found, and in some ways almost mimic the Dan Campbell. That's like a new line of thinking, it seems, with these coaches. I want the Chargers to hire Phillip Rivers to just be my CEO and go for it. But yeah, I don't know. The Campbell thing, it's a 3-year, I think more than this year is being baked into the project with the Dan Campbell voting, Tim. And you know what I'm talking about, and you're just trying to stir the pot.
Well, this will also be a big week for this, too. If they go into Dallas and beat them, the award's probably his.
Yes, but I don't think anyone can deny that it's more when it comes to, and listen, these awards, it's all narrative street. You choose your own adventure. Everyone complains that this award turns into this thing about win totals and bad teams, expectations based award. We should always just award the best coach. All of that being said, you can't deny that some part of the Dan Campbell vote is about things that happened previous to this year. And I don't think that anyone else in the mix has that.
I would agree. All right. Do you guys want to get to the games then? Or do you guys want to talk about the Circa guy?
I just noticed that TJ Hawkinson's out for the season. That's awful.
Yeah, they lost Hawkinson
Horrible.
and Addison in that game.
Oh, I did
And
not
that
realize
injury
that.
is-
That's terrible. That's terrible.
And any ACL this time of year, is
Yeah.
training camp's dead. You worry about they could just get off to such a slow start next year, that player. So
That's
it
it.
just
As much as
sucks.
I've been against the Vikings this year, going into next year, they're a team that I would certainly be looking at, depending on who they pick up at quarterback, is a team that could really achieve.
Pretty sure they're going to have Kirk
Yeah,
Cousins
first-
as their quarterback.
They're just going to tag him. I don't know.
Or
The
just
last time he
re-sign
was
him?
tagged as a quarterback, it was a disaster.
They'll
I'll
probably
be
just
honest.
re-sign him.
It seems incredibly mutual.
I mean,
It seems
I think
like
it's a good spot.
no, and he's put the tea leaves out. His wife has put tea leaves out. Even if he didn't get hurt, all that stuff at the deadline, it was no, they actually kind of see themselves as re-signing in Minnesota, and people were poo-pooing the thought of that as they were 0-3. But yeah, I mean, if they have a quarterback with Brian and their defensive coordinator doesn't take someone's head coaching job, although we started to give up touchdowns again, that defense.
Yeah, but
in,
you know what?
quick
The Lions are
spurts.
going to have the number one division schedule, and I would certainly think right now the Vikings would be if they can get healthy and ready for the start of the year, they'd be a team I'd be looking towards.
Well,
And a great coach. A great coach. The Chargers
Yeah,
hired
on both
the
sides of the
loser.
ball.
The Chargers hired the Sean McVay loser assistant, who was a 1-year defensive coordinator under Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey in their prime, and made him our head coach. And the Vikings took the guy who was truly under the young guy who was truly under Sean McVay, and made them their head coach.
that seemed like a much better choice in retrospect. Who did Giff study under?
Giff has been with people, that's just one of those things where the season is so dead. Kellen Moore, it's dude, you just worry about calling a game. You just worry about not having us the 30th first ranked run team. You just worry about us not being dickless in the red zone all year. Like, I'm sorry, our season went up in flames, and his head coaching prospects probably went up in flames with it. I don't mean just for the Chargers. I mean things that happened around the league. Like, come on, you can't scheme easy fucking passes. Like, what a fuck.
He's gone, right? At the end of the year, obviously, he's not going to come back.
There's only one way he stays, and that would be my doomsday hire, which I've spoken about before. There's one scenario, and I don't even know that it would happen, but the one scenario, and because people be like, this would be Herbert's 4th offensive coordinator, maybe even the 5th. Like, it'd be a brand new offense again, whatever. He's smart enough, he'd figure it out. But there's the people who connect that if they hire Dan Quinn could keep together more.
Yeah, because they coached together in Dallas.
Yeah. And they were successful, and and then the continuity that could bring. But I would be, that's a head coach I don't want. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Tim mentioned it earlier, but the Custys ballot is almost complete and ready for voting. What we need, and I threw a tweet out on the X, gonna give it to you machine, so you can reply to that, or you can reply down in the comment section right now, or on Spotify as well. That'll be the Spotify question of the week. You can dump it in any of those places that we have I think we have all of the big ones, but every single year, like one or two of Tim's like smaller things falls through the cracks that we forget about. So if there's an underrated Custys moment from this year, please tweet it at me, leave it in the comment section, or put it up on Spotify. We would very much enjoy that. I don't know if this made your radar, Tim, but Geoff, I know that you've probably been following this pretty closely. The guy that didn't split the survivor pool, have you followed this guy?
I was following this. Yeah, I was following this too.
He just seems like a real asshole.
He's awful.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing that people, I mean, yeah, he does seem like a dick move. But in hindsight, because there are reports, and he apparently bet money on the Patriots money line, like he could bet $300K knowing he had a touchdown favorite going into that week. Why chop when I don't imagine most people in the contest have that sort of liquid like a guy in his sort of profession or situation does to be able to hedge. So he can take the chance of getting the publicity, being cocky, all that stuff. And if he becomes a hero, then it's a really, people love a villain, that sort of angle of it. I would say, I don't care that he bet, I don't care that he still won $1 million, maybe more, betting the Patriots. Like, I don't care. Bill Buckner was an incredible major league player. Mike Vanderjagt was a Pro Bowler. This guy is still just like a punchline in the lore of all of football gambling. So I'm sure he is a profitable gambler. I don't care. I know he's not the best in the world. But maybe now he can sell himself as like a tout and do like Vegas Dave things and make even more money. But I don't care. Like, Bill Buckner had an incredible major league career. He's still just a punchline now. And I believe this is the comparable in the sports gambling sense.
See, I guess the way that you're spinning it to make yourself a villain, maybe he's trying to angle to get himself on season 2 of House of Villains, which everyone should have watched on E, because House of Villains ruled. It's only 10 episodes. Everyone should go watch. You need something to binge? You binge House of Villains. It's fantastic. But I get making the spectacle of it because maybe you can get earnings of it after that. I don't begrudge him, Tim, for not taking the chop. Like, you're in it to win it. I don't mind that angle of it. It's like, hey, I want to play this out. I don't care about the chop. I want to try to win the $8 million or whatever it is. I get that. It's just being an asshole about it seemed to be the worst part.
Yeah. All he had to say was, thank you, but no thank you. I'd rather not chop. And then, you might say, oh, that's not the greatest, but whatever. It's his prerogative. But when you start justifying it by talking about how you're, the king of all the greatest things on earth, and that no one has ever dreamed up a gambler as good as you, you're like, okay, man, like, worst of luck to you. I hope you lose next week, sort of thing. Like, you don't need to act like that. Like, what kind of way is that to act? Like, be graceful. You don't have to chop. Of course not. You're totally your prerogative to say, I want to continue. But you don't need to act like that. It's just so unbecoming.
Paul, you had a comment?
Yeah, it's not what he did. It's how he did it. And, taking shots at, all the rest of the people in the contest who have also got to, the final 15, saying that, that he should get a higher percentage because he's clearly better than all of them. It was that's why everyone was cheering against him. I didn't care that he didn't want to chop. It's his money, as Tim said. It's whatever he wanted to do, but it's there's ways to handle yourself. He handled it in a way that everyone hates him. Maybe he wants that.
But I would assume that most people who aren't in that professional gambler space or either live in Vegas space, like, they don't have 300K liquid to go hedge an underdog like down the stretch. That's why they need to chop. Like, who has that? Like,
no, see,
how do you turn over that?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because if you could explain your position, especially being in Vegas, now it might take some snooping around, probably not much.
Okay,
you could probably tweet it out. You could get the money to do it.
Okay, you're right. I'm sure you could like ring up Jeffrey Benson at the Circa and those guys and show proof of identification that is you and that is your equity into that team in the contest. They could probably hook you a line. You're right. I didn't think of that, but yeah, guy's just a dick. It seemed like everyone was united in just wanting anyone but this guy to win.
It was great pub for the Circa Survivor contest, though.
Oh, incredible!
Maybe he was maybe he was paid off by Circa to act like this, and then got some extra money on the side. There's the theory.
In that, sure. If Circa's smart enough for that, props. Like, they hooked them like free entries into the next few years or something, like, to do it.
Yeah, instead of spending your marketing budget like $25K on some TikToker, be like, hey, here's $25K, be an asshole about it. Then everyone will talk about it. Then everyone will know if you want to play Survivor, you need to go to Circa.
That would be amazing if when the people at Circa realized that this guy, because they obviously know him from other gambling ventures, was one of the final guys, they approached him like once he was deep into it to be like, listen, like, let's do this. Let's cut this wrestling deal and we'll cut you this. That would be one of the best works of all time. That would be incredible. I almost wish that happens, but it was great publicity for the contest, certainly. And that is the best contest. No ifs, ands, buts, bones about it, Pat. I have a friend who's like 61%, 59%, like they're barely in cash in the super contest. I never in a million years could hit the numbers required to cash for real in the super contest.
See,
the Survivor?
Listen,
you get lucky.
Yeah, you could get lucky, but the entire super contest is pure luck as it is. Like, you need to be good and identify your edges, but you also need to have that miracle season where everything goes your way as well. Like, if you're like,
imagine if on the Best Bet show, you and Paul, you and Cam and Rob had an entry.
That's what we tried to do for this year, and
picks?
it didn't work. We just couldn't get it worked out in
bad.
time. Yeah,
that's too bad. That would have been a lot of fun to hear that sort of the horse trading of who takes what game. That would have been good content.
Yeah, I guess we would have all had to nominate the one that we want. Then we have to argue about the other two. I mean, that was what I wanted the show idea to be for this year, and then we just didn't get an entry in time. That was the end of it.
Or find a theme that would animate your entry for the week. If it's a cat week, or if it was a horse week, or whatever.
I wish the show budget was so big that you could just burn an entry on Cam's themes.
How much is an entry into the super contest?
It's like 1,000 or maybe 5,000.
Yeah, I think it's 5,000.
Or maybe, but I don't know, Pat. Like, you're right. Like, in playing back what I said that I could never win the super contest, but I could get lucky enough to win the Survivor. I mean, in theory, I could get lucky enough to win the super contest, but it's just hitting at a number that is just unfathomable to me, like beyond unfathomable. The Survivor seems far more realistic to be down there for the chop. Like, not unlikely, incredibly, and I'd never be able to make it that far, but just seems like in the realm of possibilities, it seems unequivocally more likely.
It is only $1,000 to enter the super contest. So maybe if the budget comes through for the Pat Mayo experience next year, anyone out there who wants to sponsor this show, you talk to me about that, all right? For next year, for football season, maybe Circa wants to do it. Who knows? That we pitch shows against each other. The three of us versus me and the other two on the Best Bet show, and see who does better.
That would be great too.
I don't like when there's all that. The animosity with the other guys. I don't know. Pozzola's got like one-liners on the chamber at all times, pointed right at our heads. It's I don't know, Tim.
Well, but we could do it in a friendly way. It doesn't have to be a no holds barred animosity. It can.
You're
We
right.
hope that our motto can be: we hope they finish second.
And, I know Pat mentioned the Custys and unrelated. I know Paul, making this about main character for a moment for myself, Paul handles my rivalry category. And I'd like to just pat myself on the back for a successful Christmas.
Didn't you get into a fight with some Chargers reporter?
You most certainly did. You did not get
Oh,
through the
no,
Christmas
that's not
season.
a fight. Me and Joe, like,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
buddies.
your buddy Joe's
yeah.
like, Geoff, you need to calm down. And you're like, fuck you,
Yeah.
pal.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
listen.
I have every
unequivocally-
right to an owner's press conference.
Hold on. Yeah, no, Tim. Stop the clock. Back up the truck. Back up the truck. My president of football operations, ownership. I'm like hyperventilating now that you brought it up. Did a 55-minute scrum, apparently some off the record, some on the record, with the beat reporters of the team. After a coach and a 10-year tenured general manager were fired. And they posted none of it. Nobody posted none of it. Not a transcript in full, not audio, not video. There's not a single other fan base in the league that would be subjected to what I am subjected to. I mean that. They are literally performing terrorism on me. Because I care. I'm like going to die. I will be there longer.
When he says literally, he means figuratively.
In my mind, I am under attack. And I'm under attack from what should be an ally of information. Even if they want to spin it. What do you call, the Spocks? Propaganda, from the team outlets. I have to handle that. I have to respect that. But you watch David Tepper go up there the day after he fires like his fifth coach in like 4 years, and after being publicly potentially blamed for the draft pick and the trading of the draft picks. He can stand up there and it's in full and it is laid out for their fans to see. I'm horrified. And that doesn't even get to some of the things that have come to light. Some of the things that have come to light in the last week, I mean this as someone like who loves the team and would, I watch those games. I would just almost sometimes do anything for them to succeed. Some of the things that came to light since Staley's firing, and I've seen a lot of coaches get fired, and Pat, you like to make fun of me. I like to sort of get into the weeds when other coaches get fired and read in on those situations and some of the back dramas. I've never seen it. I've never seen anything. I've never seen this. We fired Lynn, we fired McCoy, we fired North Turner. Obviously with the Schottenheimer, there was some beef, but we fired Kevin Gilbride in it. Like, I've never seen this much dirty laundry get spilled out of a coach's firing. I'm as horrified as I was after we blew the playoff game. I mean, like, I was in different ways. It was a different feeling of numbness, but I was just left. I read this Chris Rim article from ESPN on the airplane, and they could have dropped that oxygen mask.
Oh my God.
Like, I could not believe what was happening, what was allowed to happen, the divisions from within. I'm horrified. And I used to think we could have a fun fix here. I still want a fun fix. Like, no, they need. After what I read, Marvin Lewis would be an upgrade. And I'm not saying I want Marvin Lewis. That's playing on Tim's comment. But we just need an adult. Like, in the worst way, an adult. And it's so pathetic that is now the standard. But it's just required. And I would get rid of almost everybody and take all the cap hit. Like, I would just take the bludgeoning on the cap next year to get out of it quickly. Which means a lot of guys I loved and I foxholed with are just going to be gone. And that's just the realities of it.
Well, Marvin Lewis is unlikely to be the next Chargers coach. Robert Saleh also unlikely to be the next Chargers coach because he is still coaching the New York Jumbo Jets, who are in Cleveland on Thursday night, 7.5-point underdogs to the Cleveland Browns. And it looks like Jets ownership is bringing them back. Bringing back the team, Tim.
Can I just say, that's a fantastic transition. You're a real pro. That was very well done, I must say.
It's not as good when you point it out, though.
Well, fair enough. You can cut that line out if you want. Aaron wants them all back. He wants what he had the year to. He wants basically to have what he was going to have this year. So I don't begrudge him that. That's fine. This spread is too big for Joe Flacco. I'm sorry. I understand Joe Flacco has played some decent football, except in their loss. Where he played badly in the last couple of weeks. And good for him. That's nice to see a little bit of a rebound story. Nothing wrong with that. This is just too many points to be laying with Joe Flacco. I'm not here to say the Jets are going to win this game. Well, I don't think they're going to. But 7.5 is too rich, in my opinion. I will take the Jets plus 7.5.
I'm taking the Browns minus 7.5. Although I would, if you're thinking about 7.5, I would check DraftKings Sportsbook like now as you're watching this because it's even money to bet the minus 7.5 now. So this is going to drop to 7 pretty quickly. I think that's probably where it's going to land. I had the same initial thoughts that you did. That's just too many points for Flacco. But remember, it's in Cleveland. I don't know how the Jets score any points here unless they actually score with their defense, Geoff.
Yeah, we're at that point now where like the hype on the Browns is so high that like in a microcosm of the MVP thing that we've seen this year with football, like once you sort of get anointed, you just get smacked a little unexpectedly. So like everybody, I kind of probably had that first instinct that the points are too many. I just want to take the points. But they gave up all that comeback to Washington is so embarrassing on so many levels. And I know in our correspondence on the weekend, we all joked that we wish Saleh actually managed the clock perfectly in those final minutes so they could have carried Zerline off the field. That would have been truly a magical way for that game to have ended. I'm taking the points. I'm going to take the points here. It's just going to be a silly, stupid game, maybe. I'm taking those points.
So you're taking the Jets along with Tim?
Yeah, I'm taking the points.
Yeah.
I don't feel great about it.
The Jets have scored 30 points in 2 of their last 3 games.
I understand that, but this is now this is the number 2 defense they're going up against. And you can say the Jets have the number 3 defense. I would buy that argument. And the one thing that Cleveland's been doing really well, just going bombs away. I actually think it's a part of their strategy where they're like, hey, our defense is so good. And something the Jets could have thought about earlier when they were doing all those like little dink and dunks and throwing behind the line of scrimmage. Because it's not like the Browns offensive line is any great shakes. They're absolutely decimated as well. But they're like, hey, we have this guy who can throw a great deep ball. How about we just throw deep balls every play? And if it's an interception, then our defense can stop them on the other side. But we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to score enough points to win that way. It's a unique strategy.
People don't usually test the Jets. People don't usually test the Jets that way because they have such a good back four. So if that's what Cleveland wants to do.
But I don't know if the Browns got anything else.
They should go for it. Fair enough, but that's why, when the spread is, or when the total is 35.5, to tell me that to lay 7.5 points just seems so daunting. That's all.
It does.
I love that offensive concept that we are seeing coaches and smart coaches, Kevin Stefanski, Sean Payton, guys that have had success in this league and have had the ultimate success say, we're either throwing between 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage and 4 yards ahead of the line of scrimmage, or we're throwing a bomb, or we're pretty much just running the ball. Or bootlegs to tight ends and rollouts, but we are not taking jump shots. Russell Wilson and Joe Flacco are not allowed to take jump shots. They're chucking threes and they're hitting easy buckets under the net. That's it. That is it.
Well, it's funny because when you look at it, it didn't work for Denver last week, and it has been working for the Browns, but essentially the Viking strategy with Nick Mullins has been exactly the same. He just doesn't have the arm talent on a consistent basis to match some of these other guys. Like, we talk about the Vikings are in like a downswing. They had the game won against Cincinnati, and then they blew it. And even this week, that ball goes like 3 yards further in the air. It's a touchdown to Jefferson. They win the game against Detroit. And like you have to take You have to take the upchuck variance with the upchuck variance. It's going to be picked off a lot of the time, but when it works out, it looks great. So I like the Browns here, though. I just don't think the Jets can score, and I think the Browns can, I suppose. If you were in the fantasy finals, Tim, and not in last place and owed everyone money, would you play Amari Cooper in this matchup?
Yeah.
You have to, right?
I would.
Saturday, one game. Detroit at Dallas. Do you think they only scheduled the one Saturday game because the game is so good? And they were like, we're just banking on the Cowboys owning this day, and we can put 14 games on the early slate on Sunday and no one's going to care. This is the game that everyone's going to watch.
Pretty sure this is just the makeup from the Monday Nighter that they can't have.
That makes sense.
So this is
ESPN, I'm pretty sure. This because obviously you can't have Monday Night Football on New Year's Day. So I'm pretty certain that this is the ESPN crew getting us their solo standalone game.
Yeah, because this is the big bowl games that aren't the playoff games, right? Like the Orange Bowl, I believe, is on this day, and ESPN, and they're on ESPN, and ABC has this game pad, so it's like network family here. So it technically is a doubleheader if you count the Orange Bowl, but NFL's sake, it isn't. It isn't.
Well, Dallas is favored by 6 in this game at home, reeling because they can't beat anyone on the road in the AFC East, apparently. I think it's a good spot for the Cowboys. The Lions are flying high. There'll be a big win for the Lions. And the Lions still have a chance at the 1 seed, don't they?
Yeah, if San Francisco were to drop one of their last 2 games.
I think Dallas crushes them. That was my initial gut reaction to this game. Just Dallas back at home, back indoors. I know it's a road dome team, Tim, but I think Dallas is the superior team here.
I don't know if they are, but at home they are. This team wins by margin at home. They only had one game, I think. That was the Seahawks game, which was a 7-point or 6-point spread, which would push this number. Everything else has been a complete and utter blowout at home. So, yeah. So, insofar as Dallas is in Dallas, I'm laying the points with them for what will probably be their last home game of this NFL season because they're on the road next week.
Yeah, more than likely. What do you think, Geoff?
Here's the thing. I'm going to agree with you, but it does seem like the Cowboys, at least versus the Dolphins, struggled with speed. And Detroit has a lot of that speed as well that can be utilized with multiple players in that offense. So that's something that I'll be watching. But I'm just the zigzag weirdness of the league. Cowboys off the mat. I'll lay the number required.
Let's go to Sunday, where I believe there are 10 early games on the slate. So we have 8 TVs and one's for Red Zone, Tim. Do you think Patriots-Bills, with the Bills being 12-point favorites, makes one of those TVs?
Off the top of my head, I would say no, because I don't think there's a single 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock game, that involves 2 teams that are out of the playoffs completely. So I think anyway, they would be auto drops.
Yeah,
I think there's a case that this would be out.
Yeah, there's a few big spreads, like Philly and Arizona is a big one that I don't think is going to make the TV.
San Francisco, Washington.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
I have to assume Dolphins, Ravens has got to be main screen.
Yeah, we'll go over this once we go through all the games and kind of talk it through, because like Tampa, New Orleans probably needs to be up there because it means something as well. Indian, Vegas,
it could be
that kind of thing. But do you think Buffalo can cover the 12 here? Is this just like Geoff kind of said, the zigzag of the NFL, where the Bills got their big win, they almost blew it against the Chargers traveling across the country, but now they're back at home. The Patriots playing on Sunday night, getting a big win themselves. That maybe that was all they had left this season.
The Patriots haven't lost by this spread or more since 29 October. That's 2 months. And they played some good teams in that stretch. The Chiefs, they played, the Colts, who are a playoff, team. They played the Broncos, who are, adjacent playoff team. They're going to cover and of course, when they played earlier this season, they beat the Bills. I am not laying 12 points in division with a team that's already lost to them this year, and a team that, at least defensively, has played some really good football. It's not like Buffalo's that they're scoring a bunch of points. Look at the point total they scored when they beat Buffalo, or when they beat Dallas, and when they beat Kansas City. They weren't big numbers. And they didn't score very many points last week against a pretty lowly Chargers team. The Bills are winning, and that's the important thing. It's like March Madness. You survive in advance. That's all that really matters. But in terms of laying a 2-touchdown spread, essentially, no, I can't do it. I got to take the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm leaning Patriots here as well, Geoff, but I do kind of want to take the zigzag. Can you sell me on the Bills?
Yeah, the Patriots are done, but they're going to win in the last week of the season in Bills, what could be final game. No, I mean that. And then, sorry, Patriot fans, but listen, those rankings that we'll be doing at the end of the season, the Patriots could be in for like a ranking north of 28 if they get that 5th win, because they're going to get that 5th win because they are not sending Bill out with a loss. So the Patriots are getting 5 wins, and they could be drafting behind the Chargers when that happens. So that would be horrible.
No,
I mean, my season would be
that win next week. That's a hinge win for me. I want to send him out with a loss, and I want to be the one to do it.
Okay, I love that this is going to be a big game for us next week.
It matters a great deal to me that we win next week. A great deal.
I'm so happy.
So here's my
lot emotionally invested in this.
Here's my reservation about the Bills. I'm actually going to take the Bills minus 12 here. And although I can see them losing this game outright because the sea has parted for the Bills in the AFC, that going into the playoffs, they don't have the pressure of being this team that everyone expects to do well at this point. But there's no Joe Burrow. The Chiefs are in a down year. I think that they can beat the Ravens. I think they can beat anyone. But it just seems like they can lose to anyone too. So now that the path is there for them, they hold their own destiny for the playoffs. They just win twice. They're in. And they'll somehow manage to mess this up.
So the angle there against it would be it's a clear look ahead in that the game with the Dolphins would be on deck, that and as Tim pointed out, the Patriots don't really lose by a margin this much. With the look ahead spot division, maybe it's too many points. I don't really care about that. I do believe the Bills at home just lay a whipping, which sends people into a Bills frenzy, which, maybe if you like the Dolphins in that Week 18 game, you hope the Bills just win by 40, because that'll send people into a tizzy, and it'll be interesting to see. But I am picking the Bills, and everyone's going to be in love with them again going into that game with the Dolphins, and that's going to be a wagon.
See, I don't know.
It's a look-ahead game for the Patriots, according to Geoff now, too.
And according to you.
According to Geoff.
Okay, the elements, you're right. In some ways, because but it's something they'll just, it's not going to affect this week. It's just going to be one of those things that come to the forefront next week. So I don't believe it's a look ahead game. But I love that game is going, the Patriots, Bills, Jets Week 18 game is, and it is going to, of all the meaningless games, it is going to get a lot of national attention to see how he walks, even like how he walks off the field, literally.
And remember, he hates us more than any other team.
Oh, it's
by far. So the fact that we would be the one to land the coup de grace on his career, saying goodbye, at least in New England, after essentially our, roughing of Drew Bledsoe that basically gave him a successful head coaching career. He hadn't been successful before that. It would be nice if there's something symmetrical about us being the ones to finally beat him in his last game. Don't take that from me. I need that.
Carolina at Jacksonville.
Thinking about this for weeks.
Carolina at Jacksonville. The Jags are 7-point favorites in this game. Don't know if Trevy's going to play or not. They signed Matt Barkley to their active roster. So I joked about it with Jake, Tim, that Trevor Lawrence is essentially the Black Knight from Holy Grail.
I was just about to say that. Wow, you took it out of my mouth. I was about to say you chop off all his limbs and he still called it a draw.
And it's funny because if they had just sat him when he had the high ankle sprain, I mean, they've lost these games anyway. That they'd be in a much better spot now. But I don't know if it's him who's not all that great because he's getting shit on a lot for just not playing all that well. But I mean, the guy has sustained 3 injuries that seemingly keep everyone else out, and he continues to play through them. That eventually he might just need to be sat down and be like, man, you got to get yourself healthy because you're not good right now.
He is very injured, and he's lost all his receivers. So none of that is good for him. We're going to tease Carolina up to plus 14. They're the first part of a 5-team 7-point teaser. I don't know. I could see a real situation here where Jacksonville could lose this game. This is cat on cat. I don't know. Carolina showed finally some spark last week, even in a loss. They could have just rolled over and died in that game, and they didn't. Even if Jacksonville wins, and they probably will, way too many points with the way that team has been playing recently. At home, well, as Geoff will tell you, they don't ever win any of their games at home. They're a bad team at home. And, I'm just not going to lay 7 points with Jacksonville. Give me the Panthers.
I think that's going to be a popular side this week, Geoff, is Carolina and the points.
I would agree. That was an endearing loss. It was the first time you truly saw consecutive plays where Bryce showed hitting guys in anticipation, in the break and getting the ball there, like timing routes perfectly, beautifully. Granted, if you've been watching a lot of Packers the last little bit, like I have, they give that stuff up. I mean, Baker Mayfield looked like John Elway against them two weeks ago. And no knock on Baker, who's just been incredible in his own story of why football's awesome. I'm taking Carolina here. I'm going to be a sucker for these points. You're probably right, Pat. It does feel like they will be a publicly backed underdog Sunday.
Yeah, that's almost how I felt about the Patriots as well. So I'm just going to stick to the other side of both of them. I'll take Buffalo and I'll take Jacksonville.
You took Cleveland. You're laying them.
I did. I think my people might be on Cleveland, though. I might be on the square side of that one. With this, I mean, if Lawrence there is a possibility the Jags D starts playing like the Jags D again against this Carolina team, and Carolina still has the worst rush defense in the league. Like, this is a game for ETN to get going, or Dearness Johnson or something. It feels like a game where they can take the pressure off the quarterback, whoever it may be, and actually get the running game going, and that might just be enough the defense actually shows up. So, that Green Bay has the 30th ranked defense now?
I watch a lot of Green Bay. I didn't know that, Pat. They are probably the worst. Like 3rd and 4, they give up easier than the Chargers. So that's bad. I probably watched other than the Chargers, the Packers might be a team I watched the second most amount of single TV eyeball dedicated snaps this year. So I've seen a lot of horrific defense play. That's what my mind sees.
New Orleans at Tampa Bay. The Bucks are a field goal favorite at home against the Saints. Tim, what are the scenarios for the Bucks winning? If they win, do they win the division, or are there still tiebreakers to figure out?
Not necessarily, because Atlanta could win and then win next week, and Tampa could lose.
Then they'd be tied. Then who would get the tiebreak?
And they'd be tied, and that's a great question. I'm actually fiddling with the playoff machine right now. So why don't you come back to me on that question?
Yeah. So, I mean, Geoff, I have this big Tampa Bay future to win this division. So I just feel like now that everyone has bought in on the Bucks and Baker's going to come back, there's mutual interest in coming back, that this is the week where it just all unravels for them. I just have that sneaking suspicion.
I mean, and everyone saw the Saints in primetime shit on themselves. That's always a factor with betting. At least in how the public will play, or most people will bet the next week eyeballs. I'm on the Saints. We're gonna crash into the ground here. Okay, we're just gonna end this. And full credit to Tampa. And I don't know, the coach probably should be in some of these Coach of the Year discourse that is happening. It was a total misread. A total misread. Like a 10-foot putt that didn't even that missed by 20 feet for me on the Bucks this year. And maybe that's because my mind was just wrapped around the whole time of what they should do, which was, I thought, just get rid of veterans and tank. And you won the Super Bowl. Yeah, you had a year without Brady. Now you can just, no one will. You go from Brady to a top pick. That's the dream.
They didn't. They win. They're in.
They win. They're in.
They kept their guys.
Looks like, yeah, it's a win and then they can just take a break against Carolina next week.
Okay.
Is Todd Bowles getting any Coach of the Year odds? Because he's winning a division with Baker Mayfield. And
yeah, but he's not calling the plays. He's got nothing to do with the offense, or I wouldn't imagine much to do with the offense.
Yeah, but he's still the head coach.
Sure, and he's done an admirable. That team has done much better this year than I thought they had any right to be. But you know,
yeah. Well, I know they're the best team in the league at like 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 3 on offense. I saw these stats that they showed. Well, actually, it's funny because I mentioned it with the Packers being bad. It's because when they played 2 weeks ago, the broadcast showed a stat that one team was that the Packers were so bad at that on defense, and the Bucs were the best at it. And it's incredible. Like Baker Mayfield converts 3rd and 4s like for free, and you watch teams can't even get 3rd and 1s.
I'm going to zag. I'm going to take the Saints +3 in this game. It's still difficult for me to take the Bucs by margin, although they've been doing it really well over the past few weeks. Just the Saints' pass defense is still pretty good. If the Bucs have to rely on running the ball the entire time, that could be somewhat problematic for them. And it's a stupid in-division game where just I can see the Bucs trying to screw me. So I need the Buccaneers to win. So therefore, I will take the Saints against the spread in this one. Tim?
I'm gonna take the Saints.
Dave Canales is the offensive coordinator, by the way. He could be in line for a job here.
He is getting some buzz as someone who's deep in the weeds. Both him and Bobby Slowik, who I believe is the Texans offensive coordinator, are some low key names who you will probably see getting interviews.
See, I would want the Bucs guy over the Texans guy this year because the Texans have Stroud, who's really good. We know what Mayfield is, and we've seen other offensive coordinators use him before, and this is the most it feels like the most he's ever been unleashed, except for like year 1 with Stefanski.
Yes. Of course. The thing with the one in Houston is it's a bit of a pedigree thing. He came with D'Amico from Kyle Shanahan. So he's versed in that, Pat. And I guess much like Canales in Tampa, they both have like full control because their defensive head coach is there. So they do sort of like have autonomy to run the offense as they see fit. But I think it's more of the pedigree with the one in Texans, as people have earmarked him for a bit as a potential guy who could be really good.
Oh, I just ran my simulation, and the Raiders are in the playoffs. But it's I wasn't being ridiculous either. Like they're just going to win and get in.
Falcons at Bears. The Bears are 3-point favorites at home in this. Atlanta is now 1-0 since you've jumped off their bandwagon, Tim.
How dare they win by 19 points after I get off their bandwagon even though I did pick them last week. One of my few wins.
San Francisco 0-1 since you jumped back on their bandwagon. They're 0-4 since you've been on San Francisco's bandwagon this year.
Yeah, well, they can't let me down this week. They're playing Washington.
Well, we'll see about that. I like Chicago here because I hate Atlanta, and I really hate Indianapolis now, mainly because the Falcons ran one play against the Colts every single time, and they just decided not to defend it. It was really strange to watch the Colts defensively. I don't know what they were thinking.
I take the Bears here.
Geoff?
Bears are better than at least two of the teams that are going to make the playoffs in the NFC right now, playing better football.
I would agree.
Just out of real estate.
I would agree with you.
So I'm going to agree with Tim. I'm going to take the Bears. I'm going to take that dome team. I'm going to put them outside on New Year's in December still. And I mean, it is finally going to maybe get cold where it's normally cold. I know I'm out of town, but I saw it was incredibly warm, just a little wet. I imagine it will turn to winter at some point, and the Falcons eat it. It's a coach trying to keep his job. It's a quarterback trying to look good. It's an organization that has locked up the first overall pick and can continue to make Justin Fields look amazing to get what they can. I personally believe they should take a quarterback at number one. I believe if you wanted to trade Justin Fields, you would get something decent, but just by what the league would give you for the first overall pick versus what they would give you for Justin Fields should probably tell you what you should do with that pick. I've seen some people who I do enjoy, although they are part of the entertainment scope of football. I've seen this Justin Herbert for the first overall pick thing keep coming out, and I don't understand where people have the chutzpah. Like they would give us the bean. They would throw in the bean. They would throw in the bean with like 2-3 first round. Like, you can laugh at me on the internet if you're one of these Justin Herbert haters. It is a laughable assertion that the Chargers would even consider it. Oh, they're going to team Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley in LA. Yeah, fuck off. People don't even care about that.
I play devil's advocate for just a moment. You're going to completely rebuild this season. Completely rebuild.
I don't care. You look at that playoff picture. You look at that shit. I just have my QB1 who you know. I get what you are trying to say.
Because you reset, right? You reset that.
No,
that quarterback on a rookie deal.
No, you don't. You don't give away when you get one. You don't give it away. And if you think there's a debate whether we have one, you are not a serious. Like I think there. No. It's a. Firstly, it's fan fiction because the Chargers would take a $130 million dead cap money hit if they traded Justin Herbert this offseason. So literally by that alone, people shouldn't even be allowed to have the discourse. But
although
if you
were
just
fine
want
with them taking huge cap hits this offseason, you just said so like an hour ago.
But that doesn't mean so we could reset with him, you dolt.
You also told us the Chargers would never, ever fire a coach in season.
Then they go, listen, Tim, do you agree with me if the Chargers lost by 17 points for 4 straight games, Brandon Staley isn't fired?
Yeah, I think he would probably still have his job till the end of the year.
He would, because they wouldn't have fired him the week. Like they just wouldn't have. I promise you.
I agree.
He did something. Something happened that was so embarrassing that unserious people would have been taken even way less serious had they not happened. Now, you saw the effort that you want to talk about this GIF. Maybe they should have fired him after the day my son was born, after that Packer game. That was the day to fucking fire him. Where he stood at that podium and insulted me. Say he didn't care. That's when he should have never coached again. But that is for what it is. I'm sorry. I went on a Bears rant, but I see these Bears things thinking that they're trading that pick to me because the people of LA want to reunite Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams in the NFL. These people are on crack. No. They'd have to give. No, it's an unserious thing. And I gave it way too much time for something as unserious as it is.
I know, but the drumbeat has built from one week to the next. I'm just saying. It has.
What do you mean the drumbeat has built?
It was quiet 2 weeks ago when I sort of mentioned it offhand to you, and now I've seen it more this week. Like, I don't know.
I can honestly say
this could just be
I have not heard about this at all outside of Tim bringing it up.
Well, Geoff is independently hearing it now, too.
Because people show me this stuff. And then it is just so off. It is so off base. I think a few of these quarterbacks are incredible, but I would not trade. I don't like the cap is going to balloon up. Just Tua is about to get paid. Dak's about to get redone. My mind is spinning right now because we're on this topic, this thing, but there's so many quarterbacks are about to get paid. And in a year and a half where Justin Herbert even stands on the quarterback pay scale, won't even be he'll be underpaid. So it just is what it is. You draft them. You'd love to win on the rookie deal. You'd love to do it. But the second best thing other than having one who can win on the rookie deal is just having one.
Tennessee.
It's the best thing, having one.
Great. Tennessee and Houston. Houston's favored by 3.5. Again, this sounds like a Stroud line because Keenum and Mills were absolutely useless against the Browns. Maybe that's because it was the Browns. Who knows? And the Titans don't have the same sort of defense. Texans need this win, Geoff. Can they win this game by 3.5 or by 4 or more, I suppose?
This Titans team, after beating those goddamn Dolphins in that incredible miracle, have back-to-back 10-point leads against like backup quarterbacks. Or who'd they play last week? Who'd they blow it to again? It's all a blur. I sure you.
Seattle, who's a playoff team?
Still, like, oh, I hate that team. They can't win those games. I'm picking Houston. The Titans, they're a weird group.
Titans.
I don't trust them.
Titans are 1-6 away from home. I guess they got that win in London. It was technically a home game for them, but 1-6 in actual other team stadiums so far this season. So I'm going to take Houston -3.5. It'll just make I think that the playoffs would be more fun if CJ Stroud is in them. So I want to root for that, Tim.
Yeah, that would have been. Yes, that's true. It would be like Andrew Luck getting to the playoffs in his first year with a team that no one saw it coming. That would be a really fun story. But I'm not laying 3.5 points. Can't do it. Won't do it. It could be a 3-point game, but I can still win. The Titans still beat the spread then if it's a 3-point game. So I will take Tennessee.
Okay. Game of the day, Miami and Baltimore. Battle of the MVPs, Lamar versus Tua. Ravens are favored by 4 at home. The spread has been going up. It was 3 earlier today, now 4 at DraftKings Sportsbook. I like the Dolphins to cover this spread. Even when the Dolphins were shitty, the Ravens had a tough time with them. So I'll just take the Dolphins. Short week for the Ravens, emotional win for the Ravens. Everyone blowing smoke up their ass right now. This has just been a really bad spot for that team all year long.
It's true, but the Ravens lock up everything with a win here.
Sure, and
they lock up the MVP.
And if the Dolphins win, it makes the AFC like super interesting.
Yeah, so I don't think we get to have nice things. Plus, Dolphins losing would be a nice thing. So, they really do not deserve. The most valuable player last week wasn't Lamar Jackson. It was Jason Sanders. Oh, my God. That guy hit how many bombs did he hit? 3, 4 field goals from outside of 50 yards? In inclement conditions where it was raining part of that game. How does that happen? That's not right. That's terrible for Dallas.
No, what's not right? I'll tell you what's not right.
They're not even that good. Give me Baltimore.
Tim, what's not right would have been you sitting on a couch on Christmas Day beside your father, cheering against him, not wanting him to have joy. That's what's not right. That's what's not right.
Look, I'll take lectures on how I should relate to my family and football from a good number of people, but not from someone who won't take his own nephew to see his favorite and second favorite teams play in the same city. So, try another tactic here, Jeffrey.
He's 10 years old. His favorite team changes with the standings.
Yeah, his second favorite team was also playing that day, and then you can take him to the Holiday Bowl, except you're not going to even do that.
I don't have a license. No one will rent me a car.
What if you get could you get your drug dealer to drive you?
You can't Uber over to Qualcomm to watch the game?
I would Uber to Qualcomm. It's not Qualcomm. Thanks for hurting my feelings because I'm in paradise. I don't want to go to the hellscape.
Where's the Holiday Bowl?
Oh, that is at Petco.
It's at Petco. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about. Sorry, that is paradise. That is still paradise.
That's what I meant.
Tomorrow.
I thought that's where the Holiday Bowl was. I'm sorry. I thought it was in the football stadium.
No, sorry. I thought you were talking about going to SoFi. That's the hellscape. No, listen. Can I say something about the Holiday Bowl? It is he who is less interested. I would love go to downtown San Diego, head to the gas lamp district, walk around, have a great meal, go into Petco Park. It's a true beauty. And then watch some pigskin get tossed around by some kids. I would go there in a minute, but he doesn't seem interested. So what am I going to do? Force him to go?
Well, he probably hates football now.
Yeah, he's not allowed to see his favorite team.
His favorite uncle wouldn't bring him to see his favorite teams.
No, he doesn't hate football. He ran over to me yesterday to show me the Lamar Jackson tripping on a ref thing. Like he He's good. I will make good. I'll even, you know what? I'll even do something his father won't. I'll take him to Buffalo next year. Or something miracle happens in the playoffs, and I don't want to commit. I'm not going to the Bills in the playoffs. I'd rather be dead. Not because it wouldn't be fun, but I'm just too old for that. Like in a younger life, I did it, and it's amazing. But I'm just too old for a winter game that doesn't involve. I couldn't do it. But no, I'll take him next year to a Bills game if he actually loves the Bills on the Chargers bye. There. It's in the ether. You guys can hold me to it. I'll do something. I'll take his father's responsibility. You guys can hold it against me.
So
Baltimore's
Tim,
just a much better team here. They'll roll.
Can you explain how your dad was feeling during that game?
I mean, he was getting pretty excited, and he was like asking, if I'd ever seen a team that fast before, and he's been watching for a long time, and he couldn't believe that Waddle was breaking the all-time reception yard records for Dolphin receivers. And I was like, Dad, they won the game because their kicker hit 4 amazing field goals, and they got super lucky. Dallas fumbled on the 1-inch yard line, and their kicker hit 4 50-yarders. Like, not that fast. They're not that good. Like, yeah, you won the game, but you're going to be big underdogs, as I told them. You're big underdogs against Baltimore. Probably be underdogs, no better than to pick them against Buffalo. Not even going to get a home game. I wouldn't get excited.
So I can't bully my nephew, but you can't, but you can bully your dad?
I'm not bullying. I'm just speaking the truth. And then they win, and I have to listen to that snowman dance around.
Can you reenact that for us?
No, I will not do that, other than in the hat dances back and forth. You've seen it.
Does it sing Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins? Yes. Oh, does it? I didn't know that.
No, it's actually it's even worse than that. It's even worse than that. They've stolen the Bills fight song for that snowman.
Oh, it makes me want to shout?
Make me want to shout. You've seen it before in action.
Yeah, that was like 10 years ago. I don't remember anything. I remember things that happened 10 minutes ago.
It's awful. It was frustrating. I didn't like it. I'm happy. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him that his team is winning. But I really see that. I hate that thing. I am very much looking forward to seeing the Dolphins lose this game.
Well, this was the scene of the crime last year when at halftime when they were down by the 3 touchdowns. It's over. Tua sucks. I mean, this is all online. People can go see it. And then they stormed back and won that game.
Yeah, but look, they could win this game, and it still doesn't mean anything if they lose next week.
Well, they would still be. They would still win
the division.
Yeah, they would win the division.
No, they would not.
Yes, they would.
No, they would not.
Yes, they would. If they win,
Buffalo would win the division.
No, they wouldn't. If they win this week,
Buffalo wins.
If they win this week, they get to 12 wins. The Bills can't get to 12 wins.
Okay, then they don't win the bye automatically. Sorry.
Yeah,
you're right. No, you're right. You're right. It was if they split. You're right. You're right about that. They would. But they wouldn't necessarily lock up the 1 seed.
No,
and hold on, Tim. Even if this game, let's just say there was a world in which winning this game didn't guarantee them a division. For a team where the whole narrative was they can't beat good teams, if they beat Dallas and Baltimore in back-to-back weeks, and even if they lose to Buffalo the following week, I don't understand how you could say this win would mean nothing. I think in the ether and the psyche of it all, it actually would mean a ton.
Great. Okay. Pick the Dolphins then.
I am picking the Dolphins. I don't really know what to expect, but I apologize because I think we both went on rants in this game here, but that were unrelated. But I agree with essentially Pat's opening thoughts. The swivel, the zigzag. They won. They beat the best team in the league, the team that I felt didn't really even have a peer for the Super, as the best team who I thought would win the Super Bowl. They annihilated them. And now it's a short week. They play a really good team with a great coach. Baltimore wins. I'm not shocked, but I am gonna take Miami and the points here. I trust Fangio. I trust McDaniel. I trust the players.
Meet this loss. I can't have this.
Well, wouldn't it be more fun if they then lost to the Bills the next week, then lost to the Bills in the playoffs or something like that?
No, because like you said, this would give them a home game. I don't even want to hear about them having won the division.
Okay. A reminder again, if there's a Custys moment that flew under the radar for you this year, please leave it in the comment section. Tweet it underneath the tweet that I tagged Rob McIntyre in up on Twitter so he can see it and add it to the list. Or that's a Spotify question as well. So even if you leave it in one spot, please go leave it on Spotify as well, because that will help us increase our visibility over on Spotify, which is an initiative that we are taking for 2024. So we need your help with that. If you're only subbed on Apple, can you please go over and sub on Spotify and turn them auto downloads on as well? All right. Thanks for that. San Francisco and Washington. San Francisco is a 13.5-point favorite on the road. I guess Sam Howell is starting. I actually didn't see any. I mean, I didn't even really go look it up, but I guess let's see. Commander's coach is still mulling over the quarterback situation. There we go. Does it matter to you, Tim, who starts at quarterback, be it Brissett or Howell?
No, it does not. San Francisco didn't need that game last night. They just need to win their last two, and they have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So, yeah, they're going to take care of business in this game. They're going to win this game comfortably. We're teasing them down.
I like it. I like San Francisco as well, Geoff.
Make it 3.
All right. Arizona and Philadelphia. Philadelphia, 9.5-point favorite. They got kind of lucky against the Giants. It was almost a sweep for the underdogs. Well, I guess it wasn't really a sweep, but they did get somewhat lucky against the Giants, which is not great news for them. Oh, it's at 11 now? Jesus. Let's see. What's it? I got to look on the site. I had it written down from earlier as 9.5. You're showing 11 on DraftKings Sportsbook Live. It is 11. So 11 is the number. Jesus, that's a big jump. Was there some sort of?
They haven't looked good.
No,
since they beat the Bills, and the Bills haven't looked bad since they lost to the Eagles in that fourth quarter. Like those two teams went in completely opposite directions after that game.
And it's funny because the Eagles are still a game up on the Cowboys. Like, they just have to beat the Cardinals and Giants, and they get the 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
With an outside chance of still being the 1 seed, because they're still tied with San Francisco, right? Or are they a game back? No,
yes,
they're tied.
San
So
Francisco
if they
beat Philadelphia.
Yeah, but
so
San Francisco would have to lose
both
a game.
games.
Yeah, they would have to lose a game, and Philly would have to win.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, which is unlikely, mind you, but they're still in the
The
conversation to
Rams
get the bye.
present challenges.
Sure.
The Rams present some challenges next week, and a game the Rams may very well need. So
I'll take Arizona, I guess.
Oh yeah, I'm teasing the worst teams up this week. I'm teasing Arizona up this week. I don't think the Eagles are good enough to win by that kind of margin right now. I haven't seen it from them.
Do you think the Eagles are a team that once they get to the playoffs, like the switch could be flicked for them, and like all of a sudden the defense starts playing a little bit better, Hurts gets healthy, and everyone just sleeps on because no one's going to pick the Eagles once the playoffs roll around, but they still have that, like, maybe it's a fictional upside at this point, but we've seen them play some really good games this year.
They just got beat by Drew Lock, who I think is a very likely opponent for them in the first round of the playoffs, with Geno coming back in that game. And I'm certainly leaning towards Seattle in that game. I think they're done. I think they're out in the road quickly.
I mean, this is my whole point, Geoff, that everyone's just kind of out on the Eagles right now, but I think they have too much talent to really just go by the wayside.
Yeah, I'll lay the number. I think they'll have another fighter's punch in a big game in the playoffs. I don't count them out. I'll lay the number here.
Vegas at Indy, a critical game in the AFC playoff picture, as it turns out. Who would have thunk? Mm-hmm. The Colts are 3-point favorites at home. The Raiders threw out like one pass in the final 3 quarters last week. Like, I don't know what to make of either of these teams. The Colts look so bad against Atlanta. Like, despite like what I said, Atlanta just ran the same play over and over. Just little flares out to the running backs. And the Colts were like, well, they can't do it again. And then they did it again. Well, they won't do it again. They did it again. And then they couldn't tackle anyone. Now Blackman's out in their secondary as well. Like, it feels like the Raiders should be the easy play here. But I'm just, like I said, it's a zigzag week for me, Tim. I'm taking the Colts.
I respect that. I'm taking the Raiders. Road Dome. I love that. And, yeah, the Colts looked pretty listless last week. I'm not super confident in this. I think it could go either way. Important, of course, for the Raiders. They get their win total if they should win one of the next 2 games. A win total that many thought was impossible.
Their win total was 7.5, really?
It was 7.5. It was very much poo-pooed going into the year. I think I was the only one to take the over. And mocked heavily on the pick show. for doing so. But this Raiders team's okay. The Pierce has got them playing good football. They should have fired McDaniels 3 weeks before they did. If they win both of their last games, because it's Indianapolis and Denver, they have a really, really great chance of making the playoffs.
Their over was 6.5. You've already won that one. You and the coin had over.
Oh, I thought it was 7.5 for some strange reason. Any which way.
There were some seven, like in the bettings, there were some sevens, but they were a lot of like the books had sevens, but it was minus like 160. It's almost like they set you up. They set you up to take your money, and they did. They got mine. I don't have that much juice. It was one of the first bets I made. It was one of the first bets I made when totals came out. Oh my God.
No, I'm picking the Raiders here. I'm cheering for them to do well. We'll see how it goes.
Geoff?
I'm taking the Colts.
Okay.
I don't love it. I don't really feel strongly about it.
All right. Rams at Giants. Giants are 6-point dogs at home. This one feels like the layup of the century, but it now seems somewhat fishy for some reason, Geoff. I like the Rams a lot here.
I don't love it, but I do like the Giants.
You like the Giants?
I don't really. Yeah. No. I'm picking the Giants. I shouldn't say I like the Giants. I don't really have a strong lean either way, but slight lean to the Giants. Spread's a little higher than I thought it should be, but
the spread is lower than I thought it was going to be, Tim.
Me too, but it's because the Giants have, by and large, acquitted themselves pretty well the last few weeks, and they just covered a huge number against the Eagles.
Yeah,
so
they still lost by 8.
I kind of get that. It's a West Coast team traveling east, playing early in coldish weather. I kind of understand why the number is what it is. I'm going to take the Rams, and I don't love it. But the Rams don't mathematically clinch for the win, but they take an 8. New York Times has them at 86% if they grab a win this week. So, huge game against an inferior opponent. But I wouldn't put it past them to lose the game. But I'm going to take the Rams. I'm super confident, though.
So we have to cut 3 games from our review. I mean, we can always switch the TVs as it goes along. Do we watch this one? Stafford versus Tyrod?
I mean, it's probably easier to say, what do we cut? We cut Patriots Bills. We cut
Arizona Philly,
and we cut
either Jacksonville, Carolina, Rams, Giants, or San Francisco and Washington.
I think we cut San Francisco, Washington.
Yeah, but San Francisco is fun.
Yeah, well, when one of the games that we've chosen, and it will happen, becomes a blah game, like once the Bears are up 24-0 on the Falcons, and that game's over, we can flip it over or something.
Yeah, I'm going to say we don't start with Arizona Philly and then work it backwards from there.
I like that. This is going to be a tough week for us. 10 games.
Yeah, at least I'm not staying for the late games. I have to go home and celebrate New Year's Eve with my wife. My wife.
I'm only staying for the early games too. So it's a 10-game marathon. We're going to see most of it.
It'll be great. Well, that brings us to the midway point of the show. We caught up on timing, which means it is time for a miniature version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
I got so many things this week. Ooh. I don't know where to begin. What you want to talk about? I mean, we don't have to talk about them all because it's a mini.
How about QR codes?
Yeah, QR codes being mocked for one of my most favorite Christmas gifts. We'll talk about QR codes.
So QR menus, you're out on them. But here's the thing:
I'm out on them. They're useful if your menu is constantly changing, on a frequent basis, and it would be the sort of thing where you'd have a significant amount of printing costs, frequently changing around menus. But most places are not like that. Most places' menus are not really all that variable. So I don't understand the need for having your menu or your drink menu on a QR code system is just to show off. It's just to be fancy. It's just to let people know how, modern and chic that you are. It's completely unnecessary 9 times out of 10. I'm opposed to it completely.
Well, modern, I would agree with. Fancy, I would completely disagree with. You want your leather-bound mahogany menus coming out. The big thick wine list, not a QR code if you're going to be a fancy place. The places where, I understand the need for it. During COVID, when you couldn't touch anything because everything had COVID on it, then everyone switched to it. So now they have these systems in place, and other places were like, yeah, we don't want to spend money printing off menus anymore, so we'll just continue with the QR codes. I don't think that they're the greatest thing in the world. The few places that I do like that have them, and it's usually airport lounges in particular, is when you can actually order from your phone once you do the QR code, and they just bring you your food. You have to wait for a waiter.
It seems really antisocial.
Well, it's very convenient, especially when you're in a super busy place. It's just, you don't have to wait for someone to show up if you're especially hungry, especially at places where you move in and out of really quickly, that you can just scan it off the table. Boom, I want this, this, and this, and it just shows up.
Is that then no tips? Is that a no tip situation?
Well, usually in the places where every place that I've been to hasn't been a pay place. It's like an airport lounge is where I've seen it the most.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like a restaurant at an airport, not a lounge. Sorry.
No, like an airport lounge. But there are certain places that will just give you iPads when you show up, which would then be a tip place. I've been to a few of those. Like the menu is an iPad, and you just order it from the iPad, and then people come over and just deliver you your food. You do tip then.
Same tip, or do you reduce tip on that?
I do same tip.
Yeah, see, I don't know about that.
Because you're
doing most of the work, then you got to reduce some of the tip.
Well,
if you're doing most of the work,
you're not really doing any of the work. You're doing exactly the same thing.
Oh, I'm just inputting it. I'm the one sending it out to the kitchen.
Sounds like you live a pretty tough life.
I'm just saying.
You just look for any excuse not to tip people.
No, that's not true. That is not true.
Jeff's
anti QR codes too. Go ahead, Geoff.
Who's pro QR codes?
Hold on a second. I have to agree with Pat that your line of questioning, your relentless, incessant need to know about how tipping is affected, I agree with Pat's assessment. You're hyper focused on that. You're hyper focused on that.
It's an important question.
Yes, but everything Pat says is you keep going. Your first thought is about the tip.
Well, I want to know how it's affected. Those are choppy waters to figure out where and how much to tip in certain spots.
Okay, so I am anti QR code, and I had a really annoying experience this week at the airport, much different than Pat's. As Pat explained it, I do like it, how Pat explained it. But at a lot of places, it's like I had to, you can get a faster security line if you have a specific credit card. I have this,
or a specific app. In sometimes you'll be standing in the security line, if you just download this app, then you can go to the special line. That's always a big cheat code.
Yes. Yeah, they do have those for downloading the app. But no, this was separate from that. That's for customs. This was more for security, or maybe it's all the same. Nonetheless, in the good old fashioned olden days, is all you had to do was flash the credit card and you got in access to the line. You just show them, I have the card that's on the big banner above your head. Here, I own this card. Now, with my children, with the bags, I'm by myself. You can't just show the card. You have to go get the QR code and go fill in this form and then scan. And I just no, unacceptable, totally unacceptable.
QR codes exist to make me do extra work. It's wrong.
Oh, see, I disagree. I find the QR codes, by and large, depending on what you're using them for menus, I agree with you. But when it's something like, I logged into Amazon Prime on my TV downstairs, which had never logged into Amazon Prime on it. And it's you can go through punching in your email, going letter by letter, or you can just scan this QR code and log in from your phone, then it will take on the TV. That's super efficient. I really like that QR code.
I don't know how to do any of that.
Well, that's more of a you problem now, isn't it?
But I used a QR code on my Coke can the other day, and it just took me to their website. Well,
So it worked.
I know how to get to their website.
Yeah, now you got directly there. Like, that seems like kind of useless, but I think there are instances where QR codes can be really good. Yes, Paul.
When we went to that, or when you brought me to that Jerry Seinfeld concert, I thought that was actually a good use of QR code. You're at a busy concert. We had tables, but it's like there's so many people. You would have been like in lineups and stuff. You just punched it in the QR code and people delivered it to your section. That was a good use. But anyway, when he said it was like bougie, I'm pretty sure like the Irving Big Stop, which would be like, it's a gas station with a restaurant. So I'm sure US has like similar types of things. They have moved to QR code exclusive. They don't have menus there.
No, they havenent. They haven't, have they?
I have a buddy from Newfoundland. Shout out Tony Heel. He said that he went with his grandma and she was like she was mad about it. You can't read a menu off of like your phone. I understand the gripe. It's tough.
Talk about not knowing your clientele.
Yeah, like getting liver and onions, and it's just like, yeah, you got to read this off your phone, Gran.
Yeah, Team Liver and Onions and Team QR code, that Venn diagram doesn't intersect.
Yeah, no, there are some unacceptable things. Like my father actually complains. Well, I don't know. It was something about like he has a subscription to like the theater, not the movies, but like plays, and like it's all QR codes. He's an 80-year-old man. Like you gotta send him the tickets. His discount card isn't like a thing on his phone. He needs a card. Like Tim mentioned a couple weeks ago, I actually feel bad for like some old people. They're literally screwed in some situations. Like they are. There's no slice in it. It's not fair.
100%.
I get adapt or die, but there's also, you have to have some acceptance for the people that are past adapting, like are of an age where we can't even, asking them to adapt is not even fair.
No, they should be refereeing NFL games, not QR code reading wine lists.
Exactly.
So when you went to the restaurant you went to today, Tim, had QR codes?
For the drink menu.
Oh.
That is bougie. I agree with him.
I guarantee you the place that he was at was not a bougie place.
Somewhat.
The only way to get the drink menu is a QR code?
Well, that's what the drink menu was, a QR code. So you had to open it on you. So what you do, right, is you open your camera and you focus it on that
we know
square, right? Okay. Wait,
and there's no one and nowhere.
And it never works the first time either. It takes forever to get it to work too. It
really doesn't.
Nowhere else is the menu offered.
Didn't see it anywhere. No, wasn't provided one. It was provided with the QR code drinkless menu and a regular menu for the food.
I guess I get it in the sense of like it's one of these things where they update.
And I really like the place too. The thing is, I really like that place. It's like,
what's the place?
On, it's a place that's in a touristy part of Nova Scotia.
Why won't you say the name of the place?
I'm not going to say the name.
Because you went to a place.
Yeah, well, you can give it a special shout out.
We're from here. We'd like to judge whether it's bougie or not.
Yeah, you could help out local. You could help out local business right now by saying the name, and then people can come to Nova Scotia and eat at the place where Tim Andercust ate.
I'm not going to do that. Just like I wouldn't tell you what store I shopped at, I'm not telling you what restaurant I went to.
I take back me calling it bougie. The way he is like guarding it,
it's real
probably like it's probably like a pretty below mid place.
I'm going to tell you, I know this place. I don't know the actual restaurant where he went, but I know the town where he went to it in, and I don't know if there is a bougie place in that town.
Okay.
So, I mean, what Tim considers a bougie place and not might be up for debate as well. Like the Big Stop could be a bougie place according to him.
No, not. Well, it is now because they've got the QR codes everywhere.
I don't know. I think it's...
See, Paul pointed out the best thing about this is that he thought you would have been pro QR code because you're Howard Hughes and don't want to touch anything with germs on it.
Well, I don't, but like I just Purell my hands after I touch the menus anyway before I'm going to eat.
You think that the people who work there sanitize them as well, right?
No, I don't think they do. Not anymore. They probably did during the height of the pandemic.
Yeah, you also think that the people cooking your food wash their hands, don't you?
Yeah, I do believe that they follow health code requirements. I do believe that.
Sounds like you've never worked in a kitchen, pal.
I haven't worked in a kitchen, but I presume that 99% of people wash their hands before they cook.
Chefs are pretty good about that stuff. I would say from working in the back of many restaurants in the past. I mean, if you leave the kitchen, you're washing your hands. If you touch raw meat, you're washing your hands.
If you touch raw meat, I would give you that. I've seen plenty of, I wouldn't call them chefs. Let's call them cooks.
I'd go
for their sig out back and just immediately.
There's always the first thing when you come back into the kitchen area. There's a sink there with soap, so it's like practice for most people to do it.
Most people. I mean, let's call it like a 4 out of 5.
Well, maybe the bougie drink list places that Tim goes to, they're probably washing their hands.
Yeah, probably. But I don't think the place that he went to is that place. That'd be my guess, anyway. So you got a good Christmas gift? Did you say?
I did, and you all laughed at me about it. Something I have wanted for a long time.
Probably the same thing that Jeff's had. Jeff's dad has one of these, probably.
I needed / wanted one of those cart dollies that you put your groceries in when you go to the store, because there are lots of heavy things that I want to bring from my parking spot up to my apartment, but they're just so bulky and heavy that I don't go and get these things or put it off because it's such an inconvenience. And so I got from IKEA one of those cart dollies that you can put your groceries and bags in, you can take to the mall, and I am thrilled with it beyond belief. It's exactly what I wanted. And I expressed the good news to my friends yesterday, and it was just met with a chorus of ridicule.
As it should have been. Because
it's a great practical gift.
I lived in an apartment in college. It's like the first thing you buy. What are you talking about? You're the only person in your condo who didn't already own one of these things. And
this is not what I was mocked for.
Oh,
I was mocked for wanting one, Geoff.
Yeah, he is someone who brings things to his car and then goes to his house. If he had to, let's say, I don't know, if he lived in the middle of a city and walked to get his groceries, then I would somewhat understand it. You're so feeble and weak that you can't lift up a 12-pack of DC from your car
Geoff,
to the elevator? You fucking kidding me?
I wasn't.
How do you lift a 12-pack of DC and carry 5 grocery bags?
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I think the two of you, I think that the two of you might be able to withstand 2 trips.
See, Geoff?
Why do I want to go to? What do you mean? What do you I don't want to. Yeah, I lived it
2 trips.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't you get the thing of detergent and you get some soda.
Either get stronger or make 2 trips.
No,
but I like to refill my 18.9 liter jug of water for my cooler, for example. That is an unbelievably agitating lift all the way from my indoor spot, halfway across the garage to the elevator and up here. And that's one of the big reasons I want this dolly. And so Jeff thinks it's funny because I've already had it. But everybody else thinks, of course it is.
You don't want to ride that elevator twice if you don't have to.
Of course not. No one does. So Jeff actually is on my side here.
Yes, no.
Anyone who's lived in I don't know. I guess Pat has lived in an apartment. I'm shocked I don't know. But
it wasn't just him. It was other people laughing at it as if it was weird to have as you said, almost every single apartment dweller or condo dweller has one of these, needs one of these. It's essential.
I will say that the split was between in shape people versus out of shape people.
No,
it was though, but that was the actual split.
That's coincidental.
Oh, really?
Jeff's here with me. He agrees.
He's what?
Well, I'm out of shape.
Yeah.
But I don't no. I mean, I get there's times sure, make 2 trips. You want to make 2 trips, but I don't know, man. No, it's really annoying. It's really annoying. And then you get home at the wrong time, at busy time, when everyone's arriving and not a chance. And I'm standing in that elevator, a crowded elevator with 6 laundry, with 6 grocery bags and a thing
hold on here.
No way.
Cust 2 weeks ago told us on the show he goes to the grocery store every 2 to 3 days and only picks up things that he needs for that day. So he's never in that situation.
But if I have the thing of water, let's say, Prime example.
So this
anything else.
this weird thing of water, which was already proven to you is not exactly what you think that you're buying. That maybe just don't buy that, or
people were really fascinated. People were really fascinated about this water in the comments last week. By the way,
Yeah, why don't you just get like Brita?
That's exactly what I
do that
said.
in your own house.
No,
and
I
it'll
don't
taste
like drinking
delicious.
tap water.
Yeah, but it'll be cleaned out. It'll be like Brita water's cleaned out if you're worried about that type of stuff.
No, the water cooler cools it to the perfect temperature that I like it, and it's clean and it's crisp, and I like it.
Comes directly from a Colorado spring. People do not interfere with.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like saying, oh well, it's like if I had the money to afford bottles of Evian in that size, I would drink and only use that. I would only shower in that if I could. It's so much better water.
It's funny that
it's big water in a can.
You live in a place, probably like the 99th percentile of clean water in the world, and you won't drink it.
Yuck. It tastes terrible. I don't like it. I don't like
But you like
water.
Aquafina and Dasani, bro.
I do not like Aquafina.
Bro, 90% of those bottled waters are literally just like somebody else turning on a tap and then putting a cap on it.
I go to the grocery store and go to the machine. You lift up that little glass door. You put it in.
Where do you think that water's coming from? They don't have a freaking. They don't have a freaking spring out the
coming
back
from
of
the
the grocery
Swiss Alps.
store.
It's
It's
coming
literally
from the
coming from the
Swiss
same
Alps,
water
Paul.
system that you
And
refuse to drink at
it's
home.
going through reverse. It's going through reverse osmosis. It's being cleaned. It's getting
know
rid of
what
all the
that means.
imperfections. What it means is that it tastes good. It doesn't taste like tap water. Yuck! I don't drink tap water. And if I want to get new water, and look, it's good to be drinking more water I drink, the better. The more hydrated you are, the better I feel. So here is a prime example where I need my dolly to take it down, because if I don't have it, then I won't get my water.
I mean, I think it's good for you to be. I mean, it's a 40-pound jug of water. You could be doing some nice fireman carries with those.
I don't want to.
I say maybe, Pat, you know what the crossover could also be to this? And I don't know if there's a way to test it out, but we are in the niche area potentially to ask this question. I'm also one of those guys who I will use a push. I have no shame about a push cart in golf. Like, why would I not want a push cart? Or even the motorized push cart? Like, of course I want a push cart.
Yeah.
Like,
the last holdout we knew to push carts like 2 years ago gave up the ghost on that.
Who was it? Who carried their clubs?
Our friend Tim was all about carrying his clubs.
Yeah. I mean, carrying your clubs
until about 2 years ago.
Carrying your clubs is for people who like really secretly think they're going to be professionals.
Yeah, but I don't understand why.
Or kids.
No, yeah, I don't like club carrying. I've carried my clubs like a half dozen times in my life. I really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, you're there for like it's a leisurely activity.
Yeah, I don't understand what benefit you draw from. I'm still not sure what benefit comes from carrying your clubs versus pushing them.
I mean, if you really want to get a better workout, I'm not at the golf course to get a workout because I'm getting my amount of steps in. I'm getting my 13,000 steps in. Whatever it's going to be. Well, I think you should use these weights from your car to your elevator, which is not a long distance. How far do you think your car is?
It's long enough.
How far do you think it is? Yeah, I know you're not actually, you are good at distances. We figured this out. From your car to your elevator, how long do you think that is?
It's probably 150 steps.
Do you have a fast elevator?
Middle of the road, not fast,
and
not slow.
Automatic. You want no.
150
I totally
steps.
Unequivocally.
You guys are so fucking lazy.
Thank you.
I'm lazy for other reasons. So I can't fight back on the laziness.
Jeff's upset I didn't do this earlier.
This is not it. It's like you can make fun of, there's a lot of things to make fun of Tim about. I don't believe this is it.
This is something that like 90-year-old people need to do.
No.
Healthy people in the prime of their life don't need to be doing this, especially like how much water are you going through? How often are you getting one of these jugs? Once a year?
No, like once every 2 weeks.
What?
I make all my coffee with it. I boil my spaghetti with it. I drink it. Like I use it for everything.
Boil your spaghetti with it?
That would take so long to fill up. Pressing the little thing and fill it. Oh my god!
But like boiling water will kill any sort of bacteria that you're worried about in the first place.
I still like to use the fresh, clean water
The
how do you think
the
you would
grocery
sell-
store
and you think
tap
you-
water.
And how would it be fresher
Tim.
than the stuff coming from your tap?
You thought
I
you would
want
get
what I
votes
want.
this? You thought you were going to gain votes this week on me?
Yeah, I use it for everything. I like to use my water cooler for all the things all the consumable water I use for my brushing my teeth, for my cooking, for my boiling, for all that stuff. The only thing I wouldn't, that I don't use it to wash dishes with, obviously.
And you don't use it to
but-
shower.
Exactly. Or dishwash. Yeah, but other than that, I use my water cooler for the consumable water that I consume.
So
'Cause
then
it's
you
awesome.
should be allowed to waste a little water before you shower because you waste no water. You waste no water to do anything in your house.
I'm a very efficient person in the way that I live.
You're not
I would say
efficient.
that's
I
the
wouldn't call
opposite
this
of
efficient.
efficiency.
You're wasting money, man. Like I don't even know.
This is
Efficient isn't the word here, dude.
This is
It's
the guy who
$3
is
to
like
fill one of
worried
those
about
jugs
like
up.
tipping a couple extra bucks on stuff, and he's just like dropping like probably $100 on bottled water every single month.
It's
For no good reason.
$3. It's $3 to fill up my jug.
Yeah, but you fill up your pots and you fill up your boiling water, dude.
Yeah, the water that I'm going to use to like cook a boiled egg or spaghetti or
Like,
rice with. Yes, I do.
This
Tim,
makes
you
sense
know
in
the
like
restaurant-
at like a
the
lake at a
fanciest
cottage where the
restaurant
water's
you're
bad.
going- The fanciest Italian restaurant you've ever eaten at does not boil their water with that water.
I
Like,
believe
they're-
that. I don't
Was
care.
the food bad?
No, it's not. But I like to use that water for all of my water consumption.
This is one of the craziest things. And I feel like you've mentioned it before, but
No,
I'm
but look,
happy you
my
bring it up
grandmother
again.
does the same thing. This is
Of
where I learned
course.
She uses it for her coffee, her tea, everything. She's not going to drink tap water. Neither am
Your
I. It's
grand-
gross.
She's a bad influence.
You make it
Like this is not some like weird idea I came up with on a Thursday. Like it's
Yeah.
it's
It's been bred into
I'm
you,
not-
is what you're saying.
not. Yeah, I'm not consuming tap water if I don't have to.
But your grandmother, but do you I was gonna say you don't do you wash your fruits with this water or that's the soap?
No, I'll rinse.
Why?
Produce.
Why?
I'll rinse produce because underneath the tap. That's
Why? Why is that different? The other water is getting boiled.
yes, but it's still about the taste. It doesn't get the minerals out, Jeff. Boiling doesn't get the minerals out.
But
So-
then
so you-
condensation like
So you-
remains on
you-
the
you've
skin
tried-
of like
you-
your
you've-
apple.
You've tried to find the best way to make water less good for you.
Look, I don't care. I'm drinking a lot of water. I have since I got, I got a big jug of this the other day. I was exhausted by the time I got it up here. And I was like, there has to be an easier way. This is why I don't do this very often. And I've needed a dolly, and now I've got it, and it's awesome. And it's got a bag on it so that if I want to just take it to the grocery store instead of touching somebody else's cart, I could use this in the grocery store. It'd be great.
Okay, I would also like to add here that anyone who lives okay, maybe there's a level to mock it if like every grocery run you need your dolly. But
Not
there is
everyone.
like you live in a condo, like there's so many things you sometimes have to huck upstairs.
Hey,
and sometimes
you act like I didn't do this for 10 years.
no, you're right.
And
That's why
I walked from the grocery store to my condo. I didn't have a car.
It's true, you did. You did. No, I know the
You
route.
don't, you don't, you don't get the
inefficient.
pipes without that, Jeff. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
I just Tim has his seasonal decoration boxes. Like it's multi-purpose. It's more than groceries. I'm trying to think of like random heavy things that you need to bring upstairs, but it's more than the groceries. But you're right, Pat. Tim is going to use this. Like he's going to use it. I was going to say he doesn't have a laundry room. He probably has a washer dryer in his
it's
thing.
on sweet. It's
but-
on sweet.
Cust is one step away from going to the grocery store and getting one of those scooters.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Those are for poor people with disability, with mobility issues. I'm not one of those people.
You would so ride one if they let you.
No, I wouldn't. It's for,
You've
that's for
you've
the
talked about this
unfortunate
before.
people that have mobility issues. I'm not driving one of those. That's not for me.
You would love to drive one of those.
No, I would like to have someone as my cart caddy who would push my cart for me as I asked them to take things off the shelf walking next to me, that'd be fine. Like, that'd be great.
All right, let's get to the late
Could
70s.
you grab me
here.
that can of pickles, not that one?
The one that's from the mineral water, the non-mineral water, right?
The one who's not out front. Could you grab me the can of pickles that's not the front one, but the one behind where people haven't touched?
And this butler would be different than the one pushing the
It's not a
button
butler.
for
It's
you
not
in
a
the elevator.
butler. It would just be a caddy, essentially, at the grocery store. Would push my cart for me.
But you don't. But
Great.
do you tip them?
I suppose you have to. Or
Is this from the grocery store, or you've like brought
I
that
think there's
person
just
with you?
I think there's just a SKU that you scan in at the checkout that there's an additional cost for it.
Like
It's literally like the
it's a
caddy
QR
hut at the golf course.
It's a QR
Yeah,
code.
exactly. No, it's just that you just type in, like, instead of you just type in a 4-digit number, and that adds like a $5 charge onto your grocery run or whatever.
You think that would? You think that having your own personal assistant at the grocery store would cost $5?
No, it probably would be so many dollars per minute.
$5
Depending
per
on how
minute.
long. No, that seems a bit much.
I would say $50 minimum.
That's too much. I wouldn't want that for $50.
Yeah,
I kinda want it
because
for
you're
free.
fucking cheap. That's why.
But I'd spend $5
Yeah, and then you're never gonna have it.
or like a 5% increase in the cost of whatever the bill is.
Really?
5%.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Maybe all right, 10. Fine, 10%.
You want 10%? That doesn't seem like enough.
Yeah, whatever the amount is.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Well, I'd shop more often at a store that had that,
You're gonna shop anyway.
but maybe not there.
Really?
Well, that's
As you know, I'm willing to go great distances to grocery stores that are nowhere near me.
Yes, because you're so efficient, right?
In certain ways I am. Other ways I'm less so, sure.
What ways would you say you're very efficient in?
Well, having this dolly now, as Geoff indicated.
Makes you more efficient?
Not wasting water. Not wasting water.
Well, it's the same amount of water.
Not it's less.
Late set of games. Pittsburgh at Seattle. Seattle finally gets off the schneid here. 2 weeks in a row. They're back in the mix in the final playoff spot at the moment. Another 3.5-point favorites against the Steelers. Super Bowl rematch. I like the Steelers on the road, plus 3.5.
I do not. I think the Seahawks, after their dip, have now begun to bounce back. Pittsburgh, that game was weird on Saturday. They got up to a big lead early, and things sort of just got away from the Bengals. I like the Seahawks here to knock the Steelers out.
I mean, Pittsburgh's D is really... I mean, Pittsburgh over the past 2 months has only really looked good against Cincinnati in both those Browning starts. That's it. And weirdly enough, those are the two games where Browning looked really bad in. I guess there's just something about the Pittsburgh D and that division where they're now 0-5 on the season. Just, their own division has their number. Seattle to win by margin. It took like a miraculous drive from Geno to actually just beat the Titans last week, Geoff. That, I don't know, feels like a field goal game to me.
Yeah, I'm taking the Steelers here. Field goal game. Weird game. I don't trust Seattle. Do I trust Pittsburgh?
No.
It's hard, but I trust Pittsburgh getting 3.5 points.
Although they do travel across the country, they have the extra day of rest as well.
Correct.
Chargers and Denver. Denver's favored by 5.5 points. Well, what do you think, Geoff? Can the Chargers keep it close again, or was that like their shot?
Yeah, that was probably their game. Extra rest. You have a team a little lackadaisical, just wanted to go home with a win. Denver's still in it. They do have a sense of urgency. They're still Peyton is still building his program off a bad loss. I don't trust the Chargers. I'd also like to take back something I misspoke earlier. I don't want to refer to Joe Reedy as a friend, but we are good. We are fine. That being said,
did you DM with him after the fact?
No, I wouldn't DM with him. But after the fact, let me tell you this. He's not, I don't believe he is a rival, but I would say he is part of the problem. He's part of an old school media who doesn't believe I have the right to that information.
Are you saying drain the swamp of the old school media?
No, but he's part
If
of
Geoff wins
everything,
most
like-
insane, he is draining the swamp.
That crooked Chargers media.
No, it's not crooked. It's just it's this. And no one cares enough to be crooked, and no one cares enough to press the issues of why all of this has to be underground. But and I told him that you're part of the problem, man. If you don't see why the team should be providing that for the fans, other than the fact that every other team has it provided, you are part of the problem. You think you're like you get access to it, you're special. Pat, the amount of money, it would actually be embarrassing what I would literally pay one of these beat writers for their recording. Like, and I have tried. I have made offers. I have gone to DMs, charity, cash, whatever someone wants. I would. I need to hear that. I need to hear that. So yeah, Joe is not and so yeah, so I'd like to follow up on that by saying I actually think I did a pretty good job this year. You guys can laugh and you can bring up Joe Reedy. But my point being is, and that's a guy who works for the AP. I don't believe I'm punching down when I go at Joe Reedy. I believe every one of my rivals this year, I punched up at. Like, these are people in an actual position. And I don't think, I don't know that there are any strangers on the list. I could be wrong, but I don't believe that to be true. I mean, Paul has the list, but I don't think, like, I have like a true rival worthy incident with like a stranger. Granted, these people are strangers, like no laying up, but that's like punching up. That's punching up.
We see these things, Geoff, but you've done a lot better job of like not quote tweeting, you know, people that you only quote tweet them if you're shooting up. I think you've learned that lesson this year. But like we see you like getting in fights with like people's burners and stuff sometimes.
But it's like one fight. Like if I have like a 4-tweet exchange, that's not rivalry, Paul. Like the standard here is like me.
Well, that's for the voters to decide, Geoff. You don't get to be the dictator.
Right. You know
the people get to vote.
You're right. You are 100% right. You are 100% right. But out of respect of the award, like a one-time 3-tweet exchange, to call that a rivalries go back
the
and
award.
forth.
It's been around for 6 seconds.
Respect the award.
It's not
Look
the
at the
Academy
standards.
Awards. It's not the Academy Awards.
Darren Ravel. There are standards here. No, I take this stuff. There are people I hope win. And listen, this is a Chargers game, so I'm using my time. I don't care to talk about the
We've
Chargers.
already talked
There'll
about
be
the
plenty of
Chargers
time
for like
to talk
30
about-
minutes. You spent the entire
Yeah, I
Bears.
don't want to
Exactly.
You spent all the Bears.
I want to talk about me. I want to talk about me. And you know what? And you know what? Normally, maybe this could get me votes, but Tim boils his water, so I could say whatever I want. And what I want to say is, you know what I'm proud of? You know what I'm proud of? I'm actually proud of myself. I am proud of myself. It is the last show of the year, I believe. I'm bad at math, but when we speak again, it'll be the new year. I am proud of myself. I'm not one of those losers who wish Jay Monahan well in 2023 when he had a tummy ache. That is a point of pride for me that I did not.
Tummy ache?
A panic attack? Oh, for using 9/11 families? He deserved worse. Like, let's be honest. He's gotten off easy, and he's deserved worse. He's got a worse fate coming for him, hopefully. And I am proud I'm not one of these people who tweet about golf, who sent him well wishes.
He's really trying to
boils water.
Yeah, but you're now trying to frame it like
brush
Jay
his
Monahan is going to be your biggest rival, but I think it's this Reedy Joe guy or whatever his name is. I think it's going to
Sure.
be him.
I would be honored. I would be honored. Pat, I would actually be honored if they want to make Joe Reedy my rival. Like, I don't see that, but I have great respect for Joe Reedy because he actually engages with me. Well, some of the other beat writers will only do it like in personal correspondence.
I haven't even seen
Like,
this
he'll
guy.
actually like.
He's not even on my radar. I mean, it's a tough year for Jeff's biggest rival this year. I don't really have anybody like sticks out
I mean,
in my mind.
if it's not Jay Monahan, I don't know who.
I think it's Hamas.
Well,
Oh yes, thank you, Paul. That is unequivocally it is not even definitive gap to infinity. But that's there's no humor. We try to be lighthearted here. There's nothing lighthearted there.
I don't know if it's always been lighthearted.
I mean, maybe even no laying up. We got into it again, and they got mad. Even their higher ups started chirping me when I was calling them out. So that would be where I hope the voters go. But I'd be happy to litigate all of it.
We will.
And if there are any normals on your list, Paul, like normal people, like we can even turn content into like maybe we can even chat it out with them before the awards.
No laying up was on last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, no laying up was last year.
See, the thing is like I think you've just maintained the same rivals this year. Like I don't really remember too many like fresh.
I told you
it might be Pizzola.
I don't. No, yeah, man.
Pizzola, very sneaky Geoff rival.
Not even close. That is like I would. Not even. That's not even close. I love Raw. Like no. That's,
like I said,
trying too hard.
The people. I mean, I don't think you listen to the Best Bet show every week. Tim does.
I listen to it.
I listen, and the fire is really not at me these days. It's really, if there's fire, it's at Geoff. I've seemed to have been able to avoid much of the flack recently.
No, listen, Pizzola from his ivory tower of no kids, no nephew, no nothing is going to tell me how to parent. He's got like a tortoise.
I listened to the show
porcupine,
last week, Geoff.
right?
I listened to your live show with Pizzola last week where he mentioned about how you caused a whole kerfuffle once upon a time by sending some tweets out. By sending out some tweets.
I did cause a kerfuffle. That was another lifetime. That could have been rivalries circa 2013 or something.
I didn't know that story, so I'm listening to it live, and I am dying laughing listening to that story.
Yeah, if Cam was real, that's probably the most upset Cam ever was with me. And to make Cam upset, like you could screw up a graphic. You could literally write the wrong spread of game. Like Cam doesn't even care. Like he'll just roll with it. Like that was the one time Cam was genuinely like really pissed with me. And I said I did something wrong there. I didn't even want to expand on it, but I guess I have to now. Cam was on TV. Cam was on TV, on national TV in Canada, and I produced Cam for years from behind the glass. So I know the look. Haven't seen the look. Before you've even started recording your show with Cam, sometimes you see the look. Like he's done for. Like he's done. He doesn't even want to be here. But obviously when the light goes on, he's the best. Cam was like, Cam was on the stage with someone who was just killing him. Like he was dying. I saw the look through the TV. I was in a radio booth across town producing Leafs lunch with my TV on, and Cam is dying. I saw the look of like, I'm dying here. And I sent a tweet saying, I know that face. Cam is like, someone send Cam a life jacket because this unnamed co-host is drowning him. And because me and Cam were friends, this co-host felt that thought came directly from Cam to me, but it didn't. But I could see why it thought that. And Cam likes to be everybody's friend. So I put Cam in a bad place. But this girl, like, she hosts real shows on like NHL Net. I think she's the WWE now. Not Renee. Love Renee.
I know who it is, Geoff.
No, I'm just saying I don't want the audience to think it's Renee, and I don't even care if the audience knows who it is, other than to know it's not Renee. I love Renee. But yeah, that's the story. So I did Cam dirty. Okay, I picked the Broncos.
Okay. Me too. Tim.
I picked the Chargers. I'm teasing the Chargers up. Peyton's performance as coach the last 2 weeks has been a return to form from earlier in the season, to say the least. And the Chargers look like they're fighting hard for Geoff for whatever reason. I said Geoff sort of offhandedly, but I think I'm not too wrong in saying Geoff might be the best head coach they've had at any time in the last 15 years. probably since Norv Turner left. So,
Okay,
anyway.
Firstly, you are just like, so Buffalo fumbles in field goal range. The Chargers go 3 and out, and like I don't. What did the Chargers do last week? It just felt like Buffalo gave.
They didn't
game.
quit, Geoff. After having quit on a Thursday night, they actually showed up and competed.
Yeah,
And
they had extra rest.
I give them due credit for that. They competed. That first drive of the game where they marched down the field, like that was a team that was engaged and involved, and I didn't think I'd see that from them. And I most definitely did. They took advantage of one of Buffalo's significant weaknesses that people forget, which is that they're absolutely dreadful on the back end of their defense. And when they go up against a team who can take advantage of their absolute terrible secondary, they're going to lose ball games. And anyway, I'm taking the Chargers all the way up, and I think the Chargers have a really good chance to win this game. That Broncos team looks like it's deflated and done.
It would be pain if you're a Broncos fan and you don't believe you'll make the playoffs, or you believe you're done and there's no road for you. You should cheer for the Chargers to win this game, because it would really piss me off. It would really screw us over if the Chargers actually won this game. So please, Denver, Sean Payton, off an ugly loss at home. You're going to embarrass yourself twice in a week. Tim will have a rant. If you think you're a good coach and you lose to the Patriots and the Chargers in the span of a week, you're probably not a good coach.
Didn't the Jets do that
I
earlier
like
this
that
year?
coach. I think they did. It wasn't in the span of a week.
Oh.
But yeah.
Cincinnati and Kansas City. Chiefs are 7.5-point favorites at home. What?
No, I made the graphic mistake.
Oh, it's fine. I don't really care. Cincinnati at Kansas City. Kansas City 7.5-point favorites at home. I'm taking Cincinnati.
7.
Is it 7 now?
Graphic says 7.
Oh yeah, it's 7 now.
Current spread says 7 on
nothing DraftKings Sportsbook enjoys more than just changing the number at all times. Like every 30 minutes, it's a new number. So if by the time people watch the show, it'll probably be back at 7.5. So anyway, 7 is the line right now. I like Cincinnati to cover the spread. Cincinnati with Jake Browning has looked bad in 2 games, and they were both against Pittsburgh. Other than that, he's been really good.
Chiefs can't be trusted to cover by margin like this. They just can't be. Even when they were good, they couldn't.
They did it 2 weeks ago.
They just lost with a much bigger margin at home.
Sure, but they just covered 10.5 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. Bengals are better than that Raiders team, I think. I don't know if we're going to see Chase here in this game. I hope we do. I think if we do, the Bengals have every chance to put a W up. If the Chiefs lose out and the Raiders win out, Raiders win the division.
Okay.
So what makes this year even more embarrassing is the Chiefs had the down year.
This was your year. This was your year to take it. All you had to do was reach out your hands and grab it. Yeah.
This was the year where they had a down year and something was finally there. If you were half on your game, could have come down to week 17, or you could have even been on the driver's seat. The Chiefs, for multiple factors, this was the year they finally made themselves vulnerable. You just trust between quarterback, coach, even the GM, that they'll figure out the problems, and the down year probably doesn't happen again. The Patriots had down years and the division could never take advantage. It's a similar theme. I am going to take the Patriots. I am going to take the Chiefs here.
Okay.
In this game. I'm going to lay those points. Just such an embarrassing loss. I just have, for lack of a better term, I just have confidence in that program that they are going to alt line defeat the Bengals. And that could be me just expecting Tinkerbell to wave her magic wand and make them good again. But I just trust those guys so much, like I would have if Brady got embarrassed in an off year, even to just come back with a vengeance. We're on to Cincinnati. It would have been funny if Andy Reid said something like that yesterday.
Final game, Sunday Night Football, Green Bay at Minnesota. Green Bay has not announced, Minnesota has not announced a starter. I'm guessing it's probably going to be Mullins. But at this point, like, if they're not going to go with Mullins, you don't go back to Dobbs. You have to go with Jaden Reed and see what happens. See if he's any good. Jaden Reed plays for the Packers.
Jaden Reed plays receiver for Green Bay in this game. And he's trading teams.
And he didn't play last week, so he might not even play in this game. But you look at the Packers, like Wicks is out. Watson's out. Reed missed last week. Maybe he's going to be out as well. Musgrave is probably not going to be back. They have the third worst defense in the league. I like Minnesota at home here, -1.5.
No, Packers, and teasing the Packers up too.
Probably a smarter.
I don't trust this Vikings team right now. The books think the Packers are a little bit better. I do too.
Why?
Green Bay still has an outside crack to make the play. They can still score points. I think Love is still. Put it this way: Love is by far the best quarterback in the game.
I would agree with you.
That is enough reason. And
but their defense is so bad.
Yeah, it has. I don't think Minnesota is going to take advantage with it. They don't have the quarterback play to take advantage of.
Mullins throws a ton of picks, but he moves the ball pretty well. Which is he's sort of the opposite of Josh Dobbs, where Josh Dobbs couldn't move the ball, but tried to keep it close to the vest until he imploded. With Mullins, they're like, just press it, man. Just press it as much as you want.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Like, the over-under is 46. I would like the over in the game. And I like the Packers.
Okay. Packers for Tim. Geoff.
I got the Packers 7.5 wins. I don't think they're going to win again. So I need to decide to just hedge next week against the Bears at home, who again will be showcasing Fields and coach desperately trying to keep a job. And I feel if the Packers are eliminated, that's probably going to be a white flag game for them in what has been an up and down year. Like they started horribly. They threw a big punch to get back into it, but it probably took a lot out of them, a lot of injuries. So I actually don't think they're winning again. So I have to figure out my hedge scenario to get out of it, which I can, but I got to figure it out. I'm with Pat. They don't stop anybody, and I trust Kevin O'Connell to just design easy catches, and then Jefferson will make some difficult ones. But I trust O'Connell to just design easy completions.
Okay. Last thing before we get to the finalized picks, I just got this text, Tim, about something.
I saw it too.
Something Aaron Rodgers said today, that he was surprised that he was activated, and he assumed that he was going on injured reserve. What's going on? Is this how
he's believe that?
No, I don't.
I don't know what's going on.
He's just saying things so he can get things texted about him. That's all he's doing.
You're saying he's like those monsters from The Simpsons who just only exist when you give them attention and will fall apart when you turn your back?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm ready to unplug from the New York Jets for like 3 months, and I can't wait. I'm 2 weeks away. I really, really, really want that win next week so bad, and then after that, I'm willing to not think about them again.
If you fire a coach, you can't unplug, though. If you fire the coach,
they're not going to. They've already said they're bringing him back. Aaron wants him back. Everybody's coming back. They're going to rerun this whole thing as if it's 2023 next year. So I can't unplug. They're not going to make any big moves in free agency. There's not much cash there for that. They'll have a middle of the road draft pick, and I won't have to think about them until April. And honestly, I'm looking forward to the break.
I'm a little envious of that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that sounds beautiful.
I know. I'm very excited about it. Very excited about it. I'm just gonna unplug, and I'm gonna watch a lot more golf this winter than I have in years past.
Oh, live golf too, right?
Well, there's that, and the American tour as well.
There's no way Rodgers is. Like, the thing about it's now, you don't even know if he's being honest, and you have to totally doubt that he is, because it seems so.
He could be being just mischievous, like it would.
Yeah, and he loves that. He loves to rile us up and like have us go on some goose chase for a story. This seems preposterous. It doesn't seem. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't buy it either.
That it could be true.
I don't feel like losing any brain cells thinking about it, because I don't see what benefit I would derive from trying to figure out.
And guess what? Before the season starts, there's going to be like 14 other ridiculous Rodgers.
Well, this is it. So like wake me up when September starts, so to speak. Like, that's what I'm ready for.
Wait till he says after the season is over and the playoffs have started, and he needs a little bit more attention. Maybe during the bye week, during the NFL awards week, that he'll claim that he actually was going to come back and play and that he was fine, but the Jets told him not to come back and play because they weren't going to make the playoffs, or they think that they have a better chance for next year, so they want to make sure that he was completely healthy, and that's the only reason that he didn't play.
Whatever. Like, I just can't. I know what I deserve to deal with this for the next couple of years. I've already conditioned myself to accept foolishness. This year was less foolish in a way because he didn't play than it could have been. Is what it is, man.
Is the worst case outcome for this that he sucks?
No, not the worst case.
What would be the worst?
There
case?
is no worst. There is no worst case.
What sort of
worst case would have been? Worst case would have been if he played this year and was awful, and we had to give away a first round pick. At least it didn't cost us that.
What sort of backup do you think you'll have next year?
Zach Wilson.
No way.
I didn't think so, but they're not going to trade him. They're not going to cut him. And every backup in the NFL, you won't find a single backup in the NFL who has more wins as an NFL quarterback probably than him. So, what are you going to do? Rodgers seems to like the kid. So, they're just going to bring him. I expect him to bring everybody back, basically.
He said he was very proud of Trevor Siemian today.
Great. I wouldn't be surprised if Siemian was the third. I'm not joking to you when I say I don't expect any big move. I expect this to be frozen in amber. And we'll start next season basically the way we started this season, with probably using a first round pick on an offensive line. And that's it.
Okay, let's get to the super locks for the week. Once again, if you want to try to get a free entry into the one and done at fantasygolfchampionships.com, tweet me or email me a screen grab of you already being entered, and you can win a second entry for free. Be giving that away next week when Geoff, you and I are starting golf shows next week.
Oh, that's wild. Oh my God. Yeah, it is. Oh my God.
When are you back?
Okay.
When are you back at home?
I'm back on Friday.
Okay,
so I'm back.
You'll be at home. Okay, we'll figure out a time to do this. I'm going to take Chicago -3 as my super lock.
One of my very favorite courses in the PGA too. They play
Kapalua.
I've long said I think Kapalua should host a PGA championship.
Oh my
That'd
God.
be a great spot. That'd be a
Why?
great place.
It's
a beautiful course. The scoring is available. It's strategic. I love that place. I love Kapalua. And it's like Augusta, as we always say. It's the Augusta of the early season.
Note of the
comp for each
day,
other.
Walks around with a ruler showing you the slope and the fairways.
Love it. I think it's an awesome golf course. I would love to see it showcased in more than just the opening tournament in January.
I love it when I'm in Toronto in January, and the shots as they pull away to commercial, and it just makes you feel warm inside. But a major
play a PGA. Once upon a time, they played the PGA Championship in February just to get it at PGA National. Be creative. The one thing the tour needs to do is be creative.
Yeah, going to a place where no one's going to show up isn't really the best strategy.
Ow, people will go.
No, people don't go to this fucking tournament.
If it's a PGA Championship, people will show up. It's a beautiful golf course. I love that course. I wish it got showcased. That's my point.
I like Waialae better. Anyway, what's your super lock?
This is the very last time I'm going to get to bet on the Dallas Cowboys at home, who destroy everyone in their path at home. So I will take Dallas -6.
Geoff?
I am going to take... What was that shitty Thursday? I'm going to take Denver.
Oh.
Denver -5.5. And Tim, your 7-point teaser is Carolina +14, San Francisco -6.5, Arizona +18, Chargers +12.5, and Green Bay +8.5.
That's it.
All right. Well, you didn't tease through 0 this week, so you might be able to win.
Maybe.
Shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that.
No,
He's just a boy.
I shouldn't have done that. I know better, but What are you going to do?
After that is the one someone passed along. A little birdie told me some information, so I went to go take a look. As you know, I'm very notorious about not reading comments, but Pizzola was mixing it up with people in the comment section last week.
Was he?
After he explained why teasing through zero is a bad idea and like the cost
it
of
is.
it. But he was talking about the cost of it, like how much it cost you to buy those points versus betting a spread. There were just people arguing with him about it. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. I mean, I know it's stupid, but like, whatever. I thought it was going to work.
They'll get you. Anyway, I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas. Everyone have a very Happy New Year. I want to thank Paul, the Coin, Geoff, myself, all of you, and Tim Cust.
That is not my name. Happy New Year, everybody.
Custys will be available soon to vote on, so stay tuned. It's not like this show is going anywhere. We'll be here with you through the Super Bowl, so there'll be plenty of time to get your votes in. You, the people, get to decide on all of this, and if you think that there is a moment, or a Geoff rival even, or a Cust mini moment that maybe that we have forgotten before we put together the final list, leave it in the comment section. I would really hope you would do it on Spotify, because that would be very helpful to us, or just tweet me underneath the one that's up there right now, the tweet that I put out about it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!